I don't have any of like the things yet, but we're just gonna go live and wing it.
No,
All right.
short and
So
sweet.
we should be live. Hi everyone. Welcome to our Black History Month extravaganza. Just want to go around real quick and have everybody introduce themselves. Jena, since you're let me
Your mic. Oh, you realized it.
yeah.
Yep, there we go.
All right, we're gonna go around the room, and since I see Jena first, Jena, shill.
Yes. Yep. Jena Miyu here. I am co-owner of the Atheist Network Group, also known as Tang Gang, with my partner, loving boyfriend Oz, who's on his way to the stove. I guess I've been around the atheist online community for about maybe 4, going on 5 years. You can find me on Twitter but mostly just hanging out on that channel and pretty much all over the place on YouTube.
Yeah. Have you been around for 4 or 5 years? Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. Yeah.
All right, Key, you want to show yourself?
I don't know. I'm not really in any communities. I'm just here for experience, just to see like how everything's done and everything. I like to talk to more people, learn the experiences that I don't have because I'm very ignorant and like, especially in my own field. Especially when I talk to my family, they're like, "What? You don't know that? You should definitely know that." And with my friends too, so hopefully I can learn a lot. I can see like Monty's smiling. He's like, "Yeah, he's ignorant. He doesn't know what he's talking about." Yeah, it's super fun.
But you do stream. You're not. This isn't like your first time on.
Oh no,
TV.
This is my like 100th rodeo. I've gotten you into this actually. You know more about this than me.
He did.
Monty, she's brand new. She's like a baby.
He got my mic. He got my headphones.
The monitor you don't appreciate. You should flex that. It's pretty big. It's better than mine actually.
No, it's mine. Stop it.
I don't know. There seems to be a common trend with my gifts that I just underappreciate, like the Monty's using the shoes.
Common trend with his gifts is that he wants them back.
No.
My monitor, you can't have it.
Monty's nodding. Mine will never ask you for the shoes back.
No, you asked me for the microphones and the shower.
Okay, the shower curtain I got you as a Christmas gift, and you're just okay. I'll get one in a couple years. Give me time. I got you that as a housewarming gift, and you were just like, "Nah, these are ugly." Then use them, and I bet they're still in the package, collecting dust.
They are, and I still have them in my linen closet.
That's crazy. You could save me like $10 in the future.
What about your podcast? Tell everybody what you're going to start doing.
Oh, well, this would be, I guess, episode 2 for my podcast. It's not in my specific format. My format's more, not said this isn't creative, but mine's more creative and like I have like little characters that like talk and they're like animated. Like whenever someone speaks, that character lightens up. And mostly the podcast is just about Monty making noise in the background. And me just inviting people with more experience than I do, like exactly like this, and me just getting more insight into things and just like getting to know more people, learning new things, exactly what I'm here for, and like improve my communication skills. You can always improve on something, right?
Yeah, I was his first podcast guest, so that was interesting.
That was fun.
He does most of his stuff mainly on Twitch. I'm thinking about streaming. This is just YouTube. But Jena, do you guys have a Twitch channel?
I know I have a personal one, I do, and Oz has his own personal one because he does his DJing through Twitch and YouTube.
Oh wow! Okay.
But as far as like Tang channel by itself, no. We just mainly sometimes through the Facebook group, but mainly just YouTube. Which is a little challenging.
Facebook? You go through Facebook? Okay. Yeah, no, some people are going through there. And I didn't even know that was a thing until maybe a year ago. But I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad thing to diversify because any given platform could just be like TOS and shut you down for a while. I'm actually thinking about getting a TikTok account just because.
Oh, what? Mother on TikTok.
Maybe.
I know. I tried TikTok once and it told me I was too old and it kicked me off.
Rude.
Sounds about right.
It's very rude.
Nikki.
Did that actually happen, or?
Yeah, there's a limit. You didn't know there was a limit, Key? Yeah. That's why you have to divide your date of birth.
Like over 40. My God. Are you still alive?
You don't belong here. Get out.
You're still alive. You know,
You're
that's
not old enough for this. You're too old. Hold on, circle to a square. But no, yeah, you can't be like under 12 years old. They'll ban your account and just like wait.
Yeah, they say that on Twitch
really?
too. However, I've seen 8-year-olds on there.
They always lie. I know.
Yeah.
People be lying.
You know, when I was like, for like 20 years, I was like 18 years old. You know, I was cool. And then not for it. They always lie about the ages on there.
Nikki, chill.
Okay, so as she said, I'm Nikki. I go by Beat the Cult on Twitter, and I have a YouTube channel called Beat the Cult as well. Pretty much specialize in highlighting the atheist community, mostly as a woman a Black woman, because ain't a lot of us, right, Jena? And yeah, and so there's just not a lot of us. I know, right? Heaven on earth. But yeah, I'm just starting. I'm starting to get into debates. I'm starting to get into just debates. Won't be doing it again till May because I've got some other stuff going on. Yeah, girl, I'm busy. I'm taking this PMP and it is not playing with me. It is so stressful. Ooh. But
yes. You gotta take care of IRL for sure. Dude, I know I've seen you on a lot of I saw you on I think the last thing I saw you on was Jimmy's channel.
Yeah, Jimmy Snow. Oh, I love Jimmy. Jimmy's great. He came, I went on his channel. He came on my podcast. I went on Matt Dillahunty's channel last week. And Matt will be on the podcast sometime in March. Next month, I'm doing a Black History Month atheist podcast kind of rundown. Jena's going to be on my second week. So I'm excited about that. I am looking for someone for the last week. And when I solidify it, I'm just going to put out this big, huge, this is what we're doing. But I'm just really focused on.
Is it going to be on YouTube or just podcast?
So I think I might be conflating the term YouTube and podcast. It's just on YouTube.
Okay. On Beat the Cult,
but
right?
Yes, Beat the Cult YouTube channel. Yes,
and everybody, I believe I have Jena's information and and Beat the Cult information in the box. Mani and Key, if you would like me to show any of your things, please send them to me. I will make sure that anybody that comes back through will be able to find them as they watch the stream. And Amani, would you like to talk about yourself?
What happens if I say no?
She's like, no.
It's not an option. It's mandatory.
I'm here and that's it.
That's all you need to know.
All right. Oh, can you talk about your contribution? Like, we're not going to get into questions yet, but just like, do you consider yourself to be like an activist, an enthusiast, anything, as it relates to the Black community? No.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Did you hear my question?
Wait. I don't know what you're talking to me.
No, I was talking to you.
I thought mine was still going on.
No, I was talking to the line.
Right? Oh, that's what I was saying. Okay.
Oh, wait, you're talking to me?
Yes.
I thought you were talking to Sion.
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. We're on you. All eyes on you.
Do I feel like
I was confused because no one answered.
Yeah.
I don't think I would say activist. It's a strong word.
It is. I feel you.
Advocate for Black rights and like human decency. I guess is more so how I feel like I fit in. I enjoy casual conversations. Nothing too intense, just because I don't feel like it should be that serious, even though I know it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. And yeah, I know for me, my degree is in, it's behavioral psychology, more so for like workers. So it's like motivation and behavior. I do a lot of diversity and inclusion training and a lot of inclusion. And I think when people hear diversity and inclusion, they think, oh, it's just diversity. Like that's all we're doing. We just want, men and women and people that look different. And I'm like, I don't think that people understand, like when you say diversity and inclusion, what the deal is with that. It's not about getting people who look different per se. What we see when we get diversity of thought together, we do see businesses excelling. Well, actually, probably, I can't think of anything that isn't better when it gets diversity of thought. Like when I'm even talking about arguing with right wingers about like what's the best family structure for children. I tend to go with more of the multi-generational family. Not that there's anything wrong at all with the nuclear family, but when you get grandma and the auntie and other people around that the child loves and feels comfortable with, they do better. You don't get the separation anxiety. It's easier on a parent if they have to leave and the child's not clean. There's broader perspectives that are brought to the child. So just in every whether it's work, whether it's home, whether it's just friend groups, we're seeing people excel more. And that's one of the biggest reasons that I champion diversity. That and just because I hate stupid people.
Tell us how you really feel.
Say with your chest.
I just say it. I love that you have a thought, but like it's okay if I have them too, and they can be different than yours, and it's not going to kill anybody, really. Unless it does, in which case we need to, because some people have thoughts that kill other people, but no.
No, I get your point as far as multi-generational families. Like in this case with both is it Key and Amani? Mm-hmm. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. For them, as I think prior to us going live, had at least Key expressed not having as much knowledge as far as Black history, or just maybe certain aspects of history in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be Black, but it's essential just based on the topic or the purpose of the stream. But having that multi-generational family, either close or even if it's within the same home, some families are like that too, and that's fine. A lot of different, other ethnic groups and things do that. But being able to have that, I guess you could say, older adult knowledge of things way back when, or, not necessarily hearing a lot from where you can absorb in history books or anything, but especially from a cultural perspective, having that older adult knowledge that can be kind of bestowed upon the earlier generation. That's, like you said, beneficial.
Yeah, especially if you live in Florida, where we're not even in the history books anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it does take a village, so I agree with you from that standpoint. Sometimes it can be difficult in order to include a multi-generational privilege in raising a child, because maybe, especially in the instances of being atheist or maybe being homosexual or part of the LGBTQ community,
definitely,
such as myself, I hit all the boxes. I've had to I've had to separate myself from my parents and two of my sisters. And next month, it will be a year since I've spoken to them. And I heavily value, I heavily value familial inclusion because it's reinforcing, and it's easier to build a dynasty when you have people to build it with. Right. But I just hope that my wife's family is a little more progressive, because I want my kids to know their grandparents on both sides. That's preferable. But if it's one side, I'll take it. But if I don't get either side, we'll just build a community as best we can. Because, if you can't incorporate support from your own family, you can build family in other areas as well.
All right. I wanted to kind of share a video. I have a couple of videos, and I'm going to hope that the stream doesn't get shut down. All right.
I'm telling you already. But just like life. All right.
Here's Jordan ready to take off.
Can I get an amen? And welcome to the very first National Oprah Winfrey Show!
We'll be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls and sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Noticing a trend.
Yeah, not a lot of. We're mostly. There were the sprinklings of actual functionality, like from MLK and Maya Angelou, but most people are entertainers or athletes that are being represented.
Yeah, that too.
Again, that was. I wanted to do something with entertainers, things that the audience would be able to relate to, just doing an intro. We'll talk about, I think my questions, we're actually about to get into the questions, and we'll talk about like lesser known people. But I do just want to do like kind of a montage of Black excellence, because I think that when people, and I'm not saying anyone in the skeptic community per se, but public at large seems, when they think about Black people, they tend to think about hoodlums, thus welfare moms. And
often the typical stereotypes. Mainly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
or that they're automatically Christian and go to church.
Yeah, well, I mean, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. I say that all the time. Yeah.
This is still 90% of the Black community is Christian or something like that.
Something like that.
Yes.
Majority women.
I talked about, the Black women are the most religious demographic in the United States. It is, I believe, between 86 and 90%, which is shocking that it's that actually low, but are still religious, and I believe around 70% are superstitious and hold beliefs in pseudoscientific concepts like ghosts and demons and things like that. We talked about this on the Atheist Community of Austin show Truth Wanted when I went on there. And,
I did see that. That was actually
it's disheartening.
Because when we were talking about stereotypes, and well, actually, we'll go around because I do want to talk right now about why representation matters, and I don't know, what does Black History Month mean to you, and why do you believe it's important for all Americans to know? And if so, why? And who wants to go first?
Make one of your kids do it.
Well, at least one. So
Actually, Amani, I thought was going to get into a fight in the middle of the Cheesecake Factory over this question once.
Really? At the Cheesecake Factory?
Tell that story, please.
If you were focused on that pineapple upside down cheesecake as you should have been, you would have not been distracted by anything else in your environment. That is so good. Oh, they brought it back. Oh, pineapple upside down cheesecake.
It was actually my son's birthday, and every year for at least a decade, we've been going to the Cheesecake Factory to.
Good choice.
Yeah, and I don't know how it came up, but we were just talking about preferences, not who we only date, but like what are you attracted to? And
apparently, I can't have an opinion.
He said that he's attracted most to gingers. And I'm like, nobody is attracted to gingers.
Dude, seriously, actually, when it comes to white women, I'm with you. When it comes to white women, redheads are gorgeous. Like Christina Hendricks, Dallas Grace Howard.
You said my number one, Nikki.
Oh, she's gorgeous. I mean, like I've already discussed, like people mostly know that I'm attracted to black women. Like I will marry a black woman. There's no other thing sexier in the world.
The girls like these.
But when it comes to white women,
no.
Yes, big booty, big titties.
Yes.
I mean, that was your mama, but big titties. Yes.
These little girls coming up in here, and I'm like, damn. So I mean, he's not.
I'm with him though. If you're talking about white women, the sexiest are redheads.
She's acting like I'm neglecting black women at all. Most of my girlfriends were black.
I didn't tell you that when we had that argument.
I don't know. It made it
talk
sound
to the
like you're not
Cheesecake
allowed
Factory
to
staff.
not like black.
But you can't.
Didn't tell you that.
Okay. Thank you. Wow, that is awesome. So you can't help who you're attracted to, right?
Right.
But my ex was there, and at some point in the course of the conversation, the comment was made, what difference does it make if he understands Black history? And I was like, oh my God, am I going to have to bail her out of jail?
Who said that?
My ex.
Your ex female?
No. My
you
ex.
said bail someone out of jail, but you used the.
Oh no, my daughter. I thought I was going to have to bail my daughter out of jail.
Oh, okay. I was like, who's going to jail?
After he made that comment.
What comment did he make?
What's it matter? So referring to my son, my ex said, does it really matter if he understands Black, or if he understands or has an understanding of Black history? Like, you're an American, okay. No American history. And I'm like,
sure. Okay, I understand now where we're going.
I don't think that's what I said, but Amani, would you like to talk a little bit about why you believe that that's so important?
Because a comment like that is dangerous. And particularly because he was a white man. Wouldn't have been any different if he were of any other race, but I can say it contributed to the anger, especially with the laws that we see happening in present day, with white politicians essentially trying to erase Black history. And I feel like it stems from this mindset of thinking that it's not important. And
to them it's not, but to us it is. Right. But to them it's not.
True.
Right. But you're not going to get white people to feel any type of obligation to preserving something that's unrelated to them and something they see as beneath them. So, I mean, I don't think we should expect them to hold the same interest or sense or put the same sense of value on Black history. I think that's up for us to uphold and to advocate for.
When you're as a white man dating a Black woman and being integrated in her family, I personally believe that you should.
I mean, you should, but are you?
To convey that message, it pretty much was like, okay, you don't give a fuck about me, my people.
Okay, that is another. That's a different.
And then for him to say that to my brother, That is a dangerous message that who already is saying that he doesn't know that much about Black history. That is a dangerous message.
Sure.
And this was this 2020? This was like right after all of the riots, the Black Matter protests, like all of these things that were heavily in the media of police officers killing Black people. And you're telling this young Black man that his history is not important. And it's just like, are you extremely tone deaf?
Yes, it's a white man, and I mean, this is actually an interesting topic because I'm a little hesitant to say this in present company, but I'm reading the book, Is Marriage for White People? It's written by a Black lawyer out of Stanford. Black history has so much to do with this country and how it was built and became what it is to ignore.
Indeed.
Yes, I concur. This is such a tough subject because, so we're reading the book in my book club, Is Marriage for White People. And there are a lot of very troubling statistics in the book that concerning African Americans and our ability to sustain long-term relationships. Going back to your point regarding the importance of multi-generational contribution to a child's upbringing. And one of the biggest issues that I saw was, and he's very lucky to have the parents that he does, because I didn't know 50% of Black men dropped out of high school. I did not know that.
Yeah, my dad was one of them.
Yeah, and that's so interesting to me because, so that's 50, another point is that, yes, Black women are more likely to be more educated, have secondary education.
Educated Black women outnumber educated Black men 2-1, last I checked.
Yeah.
And the educated Black men are more likely to date out and marry out, but Black women are less likely to marry out. And
we're more likely to get a lot of shit if we do.
Right.
Looking at her.
But we're also, and we're also more likely because of the limitations of qualified Black men in comparison to qualified Black women. And if they're not dating white men, or like my brother who is gay, not dating in his case, white men, but that doesn't matter because he's gay. But if they're not dating white women and if they're not gay, that really shrinks the pool. So Black women are in competition, but these Black men know that they're valuable. So they sleep around a lot. They have higher rates of divorce, higher rates of cheating, and they pass around HIV at higher rates than other races do. And Black women have the highest rates of HIV amongst all other demographics of women. Right. So, in your defense, Maya, if I was straight, well, let me just say this, I'm rambling, but my ex-boyfriend, when I was masquerading as a straight person, he was Black, and he's like all my exes were Black, but the issue is my exes were like super. Like one of them was a rocket scientist. My ex is like an electrical engineer, dated a biostatistician and psychologist. So I had Black men who were educated, but the difference between those Black men and like maybe the ones that carry the most negative stereotypes is they didn't really have that type of aggression, I guess. And that was an issue for me because I was raised in like a really traditional home and men were expected to lead. And that was difficult for me. But outside of that, if I was straight, due to my experiences with Black men, kind of my dad, even though I had my dad growing up and he made a ton of money and my mom stayed at home, he's still not a reputable person. I would probably be more inclined to date a white man now if I went back to dating men. I would really have to find an exceptional Black man. I really would, because I can't.
The Black men out here, so we're in Maryland, and Black men out here, I don't know, like really.
You're in Maryland?
DC. So, I mean, everybody out here is just really driven, which is great, but it's like Black men want to level up. So,
they need to level up.
Well, no, I mean, with like their women, it's just like, oh, what do you do? Oh, okay. And I'm like, can't we just like each other? Like, I feel like, if I'm if like I can't date somebody who's on my level. Like they have to be a step below me trying to, because you have to, I don't know.
If
You know what I mean?
date Black men, because Black men are less likely to have the level of education that you do. But if you date out,
it's different out here. It really is.
Well, I mean, Washington D.C. is a bit of an anomaly statistically, and that's fair. But I mean, overall, according to the statistics represented in the book, it is more likely for a Black woman to marry a man if she marries a Black man, him have a lower level of education than she does, which contributes in turn to higher rates of divorce.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because Black men have a little bit of an ego on them and like to, I don't know, like, I need to be the man of the house, but you know, if my wife is making more money than me, I feel some kind of way about that. So it's
then you start watching Andrew Tate videos and lose your mind, and
and on that, because I know that's a similar situation my older sister is in, because she makes almost close to six figures, albeit it's California 6 figures, so you 6 figures, I mean nothing, you're still broke. But her husband, I think he may at least have a high school diploma, or actually went back for his GED at the very least. He's not even a long distance truck driver. But
the devil is a liar.
Yeah. So, and they've been married maybe almost a year and a half. So there's already been a struggle. But I've kind of like what you were saying, Maya, where a well-established, well-educated, income great Black woman marries someone that's not her equivalent as far as education and income. I've seen that trend within my own family. A lot of the Black men in my family have well-established jobs, if not completed some level of college and make good money. A lot of my family are nurses, including myself. Mm-hmm. But in a sense, the term I've always heard was raise their husbands, meaning, you know, you kind of
how you gonna raise the head of the house? You're the head of the house, but I have to raise you.
Yeah, but and you know, I've always kind of, I don't know, I never truly liked that kind of idea, just because, you know, Black men, whether they're well educated or not, I mean, they're their own grown person too. I don't like the whole kind of belittling type of thing, because that's something I've saw through my mom and also my sister now, and I'm just like, well, it's no wonder there's trouble or friction. Like, you purposely are putting them down because they just didn't do enough some years ago before they met you.
Right.
Like, that could be any person. And then the other condition to that would be, I was going to say it and I lost it. I'll come back if I remember. But that was something that always didn't sit with me right.
I agree. I think it should be, I mean, I understand there's probably some bitterness there because you want, I mean, so we're, as, I can't remember if it was Amani or Maya said, Black women are the most religious in the country.
Kind of, but yeah, maybe.
Okay, I'm sorry, girl. But
I'll just take credit. I think I barely remember.
No, you're good. You're good. But so somebody very intelligently and accurately said that Black women are the most religious. Religious concepts, especially Christian concepts, come with this precursor of men being the head of the home and women supposedly being helpmeets or submissive.
The runners, like, they run the shit in the home. Yeah.
Like, the man is the head, the woman is the neck. You know, she turns the head, but the head is still the head. So when you have these perceptions, but yet you bring a man into your house who is more like your son than an actual grown head of the house, you have this bitterness or anger or resentment. And it's, I mean, you know, that's frustrating. So instead of like maybe healthfully working with him, like, we also have issues with not pursuing therapy in our community. We have
just about to say that.
Lord.
Yes. So where that could potentially help, but we don't utilize that resource.
It was kind of like you were saying with the what is it? The superstitions, also the stigmas with a lot of things. People don't. Again, we're as a whole. usually poor. And a lot of that, like, you just don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
For a lot of Black people, healthcare at all is a luxury, and
yes,
you're struggling just to get to the doctor, let alone therapy for a troubled marriage. And a lot of times that goes into what do you call it, Christian counseling, with your pastor, and then you're it's like, well, according to the Bible, you should shut up and make him a
submit to your husband and love him. Love him as Christ loves the church.
Yeah.
The worst thing I could.
No, he loves you as Christ loves the church. My bad. Sorry,
right. The worst thing I witnessed prior to my sister and her husband getting married was them going through 6 or 7 sessions of marriage counseling. Mm-hmm. Like, it was
at least I tried.
With that church, it was I won't say it was a demand or a rule, but it was a hard standard.
Are they Catholic? Because I know the Catholic Church mandates that people go through marriage counseling before.
I think, Catholic Church does. This particular, because my family's church is a Baptist missionary. Baptist,
traditionally,
yeah. So, but they just
Protestants do offer it.
They do, but I don't think it's mandated. I mean, depending on the maybe the denomination or the church, but it's not generally.
It looks good.
It does, and I would advise it. I mean, unfortunately, I can say that. No, I
think it might be.
Go to the other room. Can you please put your thing on mute? So funny. I like those chairs, though. I'm gonna have to get one of those.
Like the legit gamer.
Yeah, the legit gamer chairs. I'm gonna put that in the budget for my Yeti microphone.
There you go.
But I mean, I hate to say it, but geez, I guess in some cases, some counseling, even though church counseling isn't better than no counseling, but I
see your point.
Fault them for at least going, even if it is a very limited and non-scientifically based counseling method.
Very geared. I don't know full details of all of their sessions. Again, like I said, it was like 6 or 7. I'm like, God damn, how many? Really? You got to do 6 or 7 to get this right?
I think people should go to therapy at least once a month if they're married. I'm going to have my wife go once a month, because we need to do a check-in, and we got to talk, because I want my marriage to last. We have high rates of divorce, and I don't know the rates of divorce in the lesbian community, but I can't imagine that makes anything easier in marriage, being gay. So we go once a month, and if we start fighting, we're going to book an extra session.
Like, I'm mentally preparing for all this.
And she better be prepared, because like, we're going, babe.
Well, having a healthy, I think for a lot of couples, I think the ultimate breakdown is in communication, and it leads to a lot of the other things that we see. Even if, I don't know, last time I checked, I think financial issues were the number 1 cause of divorce.
Yes.
It's either financial or, infidelity, or lack of, that intimacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, Black women are more likely to stick out of marriage due to infidelity because of the limited access to qualified Black men, quote unquote.
And if it's obviously very heavily religious, the whole thing about marriage divorce doesn't exist. I'm explicitly, excuse me, use that word correctly, remember having this kind of like brief conversation with my sister maybe a few months before getting married. And granted, her and her now husband had been together dating for 11 years. So
that's another thing that they mentioned in the book, was that Black people were more likely to date long-term before marrying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was arguing with someone about that the other day. And he was upset that welfare is contributing to the decline of the modern family. And I'm like, no. If our government would just step in and secure livable wages, people wouldn't feel the need to jump there and they'd be more comfortable marrying, because that's actually what you're seeing with Black community. Like there is a girl that on my Facebook, I've known her for a while. She has 3 kids with this man, and they're just now getting married after being together for at least 10 years. And when they met, she was a waitress and he was doing whatever he does, and they just really needed to get into stable jobs, and where they felt comfortable getting off Medicaid, getting off, not needing food stamps.
Sure.
But if they were both making decent paying jobs, there wouldn't be that reliance on the government, and they could just be married.
Agreed.
I don't know. I know they're getting all this from Fox News, who is really pushing for a couple of years now. Just get married. All your problems will melt away. And
my mom told me that whatever problems you have before you get married are going to be amplified 10 times during marriage. Right. So I don't blame them for trying to resolve the issues. And at least she married the mother of her, or the father of her children. 70% of Black children are born to women who do not marry the father of their father.
I know they're born to single women. I don't know.
I think there's like a nuanced delineation between simply being a single mother and not marrying the father of your children.
I
have to look at that stat.
And I don't like that stat. I agree that probably 70% of Black kids are being born to single moms, but that doesn't mean that the dad around. I can't tell you how many dads I know are cohabitating with the mother of the children and the children.
I think it was, to your point, I think they were trying to specify actually marrying the father, because you're right. They didn't really account for cohabitation.
Right. I mean, so if you're a white researcher, you're not going, your thought process is, your thought process is, okay, well, white people are most likely actually to marry because of pregnancy. Yes. So if that's what's going on in your mind.
That's interesting. I know for sure we are not. There are so many interesting things about our community. And one thing that I find interesting is, and I wanted to ask you guys about this, what are your views on the increased rates of abortion in the Black community? What do you think about that?
Annie, you haven't talked in a while. Did you want to chime in?
She throwing down. She's like, I'm eating.
Grubbing right now.
She grubbing.
I don't really have any thoughts on that.
Did you have anything on, like, what we were leaving a conversation? Did you have any thoughts on that? Because I know your friends are in their 20s, and a lot of them have babies at home.
And not married.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you about that.
Do you see a lot of your friends in their 20s getting married, or?
The people I know who are married in their 20s are white. For the friends that I have, they're either waiting to have kids until marriage, or they already have kids, and my thoughts on that don't really have to do anything with the Black community. They're just my personal observation of how people are in general. Right. And just the things that I've noticed. But yeah, it aligns with essentially what was being said. Most of them are still cohabitating with their partner, and probably would like to get married, but probably not.
Weddings are expensive.
Just get one of those silicone rings for like $20, or be cute and get a ring pop. It'll be really cute. Even though it's cheap, you can put it on Instagram. People won't hate, because at least it's cute. It reminds you of your childhood, and then you can, or get it. What I did is when I was engaged, I had 2 rings, and I had this huge, stupid, obnoxiously. So I modeled my engagement ring off of Beyonce's ring, but my ex could not afford a 10-carat diamond, so I got a 10-carat.
Shame on him.
I know. Engineering. Come on, Marcus. What the hell? But no, Marcus is great. He's just kind of soft, but and I'm very not, so it was not a good thing. But I had like a 2-carat pave band, but I had a 10-carat aquamarine, because aquamarine is my birthstone, and I couldn't wear it everywhere because it's stupid. I couldn't open car doors. It's very obnoxious, and I regret it. But I got a like $100 cubic zirconia ring from K Jewelers that they had in the case, and people can tell. Like, you can drop like a quick, or even, I mean, well, I would go to an actual jeweler if you were going to get cubic zirconia, because you can get, it actually looks like a diamond, but you can throw down $100 and get her something and put it on Instagram, and people are going to think you spent 20 grand on it.
No, you can't tell the difference between a diamond and zirconia unless you like.
Not on Instagram. And that's where it counts. Instagram and Facebook, that's where it counts, right? You can put a filter. Hey, you can put a filter on your face. You can put a filter on a diamond and be like, look what he did. Oh my God, it's like 50 grand. And it was $100 from K's. Every kiss begins with K.
I don't know. I think most of the people out here would be like, let me see the receipt.
That's funny.
You better forward the receipt. What do receipts look like from K, Julie? Or show them check. This is
zirconia. You better get it a price.
Right.
Right.
I'll put my opinion out there, and I'm curious too, because I know Key and Amani are much younger than us old folk here.
I'm geriatric.
As far as just relating it to the concept of marriage, like just as I know, well, I'll just say my opinion and I'll kind of follow through with the question. I know for me personally, I mean, there was a time in which I thought I wanted to, but only because that was instilled in me, you know, growing up in religion, in the church a lot since as far as I can remember. In
the womb.
I never went through that whole purity ring ritual thing with the daughter and the father. My sister did. So that whole ring ceremony that you commit yourself, you commit yourself to your dad until you're ready to be married, and you save your virginity and yada yada yada.
Well, he's your owner. He's gonna sell you to your husband. So
that worked out because she was not a virgin. Anyways,
neither was my sister. She was throwing it down. I was like,
so the concept of, you know, being fed that and thinking that was something I wanted because I was told that was supposed to be for me, because this is the only way that silly. We saw you, babe. We saw you. That was just, you know, the unfortunate false expectation of, if you're married, your life will be this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like, you know, obviously my sister's wedding was drop dead amazing. Everything was perfect. She looked gorgeous, big ass gown, all the hoopla, all the money. But it was literally from her telling me the day after. And like I said, it's barely been 2 years where their marriage is very lacking. It's tumultuous. He's you know, like I said, he's a truck driver, so he's gone 2-3 months at a time, and he doesn't even necessarily have to be. I'm not going to get all in all the tea, but I'm just saying it's very tumultuous. So
girl, you better put that pot on the oven or the top of the stovetop, boil that pot, put the tea bag in the mug, steep that shit.
No, it's kidding.
She will never find this channel.
Right. And it wasn't until maybe my early mid-20s that I realized trying to kind of identify what I really wanted for myself. Like I knew I was a career education person. So it was obviously jumping from school to a thing. And as far as like, okay, at one point, having children. Like I remember in my teenage years thinking, okay, by the time I'm going to get married at 25, and then before I'm 30, I'm going to have my first kid. And me and my husband are going to be at least like 2 or 3 years by ourselves within the marriage before I'm 30 and have our first baby. I'm 32. None of that shit happened. None of that happened. Okay. Because you got to put a timeline on your ovaries, because by 35, you better be
Yeah,
careful.
you ain't the one that put the timeline on it. That was
my
Oh,
mom
God.
put a timeline on her. I remember her being 5 years old, and they would, Monty, do you remember that? Like, what do you do? I have to go to school, get married, have baby, or what was?
God.
Do you remember
No,
what
it
they told
was
you?
it was that. It was graduate high school, go to college, get your degree, get the job,
Mm-hmm.
like make sure your career is flourishing. Then you get the man,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
and then you get the house and everything.
That's
Mm-hmm.
no, get that
Oh no,
house
you don't
first.
get the house. The man's supposed to have the house ready for you.
Oh, that's right, my bad.
That was my.
You move into his house
really?
after he buys you from your
That's
daddy.
so funny because my
Oh, no,
sister
you want your
moved
name
in
on
the
that
guy,
house.
so I don't know. We missed that part.
Our family, at least.
But my overall point, I'm sorry, I know I was long-winded, but I'll be brief. My overall point is that my idea of marriage, children, whatever, changed once I removed myself from religion, one, and two, kind of really evaluate what was realistic in the modern days now for me. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't really like the whole, I mean, I remember my sister talking about weddings for like 6 to 8 years before they even got married, just looking up shit on Pinterest and showing me. I'm like, that looks so boring and expensive.
Who cares about
spend
that?
like $100,000 on this bullshit.
What?
Like, it was just too ridiculous for one huge day for it to be like,
Go to
you
the
never know what the
courthouse.
fuck is gonna happen. I'm sorry,
That's
I
true.
cursed a lot. So
Are we permitted to curse, or
Yes.
I mean, I already broke the
Yeah,
rules.
I am
to be honest.
totally unmonetized.
we were gonna shame you, Jenna? I was gonna shame you just to be like, yeah, Maya, I'm with you. Don't curse, Jenna.
That's
Right before I
fine.
dropped
I got a
an
potty
F-bomb.
mouth. I already know. But
I do
overall,
too,
I mean,
bro.
I don't shame anyone for legally wanting to marry, even if it's something that's done. I forgot what the other phrase of marriage was. It's not legal, but
Civil?
I think it's all civil. No, not civil unions. It's something else. It'll come back to me. But overall point is, I think it's very obviously subjective, individualistic. I don't think there's no right or wrong way to go about one's life. The whole sex before marriage, or you're not supposed to have a baby before marriage. It's too much for me to care about someone else's life that's not mine. I'm like, people make unfortunate decisions or are very Commonwealth. Thank you, Beck. Commonwealth.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Or make decisions just because maybe they just wanted the baby and not the extra. I mean, that's them. Or if they just lost track of what they really wanted or something happens, you never really know. But overall, my question to Key and Amani, as far as your own personal perspectives, as far as what you want for yourselves, not necessarily if it's going to happen, but ideally, what do you see for yourself as far as marriage or having kids?
Hey, something I can finally contribute to. So ever since I was younger, I never really cared for marriage or anything, and that was heavily reinforced when I got out the Christianity stuff, because I was thinking, it's like, what's really the point? You don't really gain much other than like the happy day, which from what I heard, the men doesn't really care about. It's mostly for the women, and
that's true. And even as the masculine presenting, on my side as the masculine presenting, I don't care. That's on her. So,
Nikki,
I'm with you.
I know it's gonna be a big day. I know it's gonna be a big day for like her, but like for me personally, I really never cared that much for like marriage or anything. Like, I just want the relationship. I don't really see any benefits from coming with marriage. Like, sure, a ring, the big day, and then what after that? I would always, if I were to get married, I would have to sign a prenup, because you don't know what's gonna happen 10 years in the future, heck, a year, or maybe a couple. I've seen people break up like on their honeymoon and want to get a divorce then. And then like both parties have to agree on the divorce and everything. It's just like people get stuck in this marriage for like months, maybe a year. And it's just like, that's too much hassle. Like, I just want to, like, it may sound like a commitment issue, but I just want to be in a relationship. And if I don't like it, I want to bounce and like not have to deal with like the repercussions of like all of this stuff, because if it doesn't work out, I shouldn't have to be tied to it. That's about it.
That's fair. Amani?
guess I'm looking for the right word. I would say struggle, but I don't feel like that's the correct wording. But I'll use it as a substitute. Struggle with the idea overall of marriage. I agree with what was said earlier that when you're under a Christian umbrella, like you have these ideals that, of course, I'm going to get married and this, and this. And I think as we broke away from that and I started focusing on finding myself, the idea of marriage doesn't seem realistic to me. Like I saw an article the other day where it was like studies show that people who marry younger have like more success at marriage, and that
Wait, younger?
Yeah.
Or older?
No, younger and have less partners.
Interesting.
Have more success in marriage.
That's actually interesting. Yeah.
It would
and that
be amazing because usually studies showed that older, like people who were getting married in their 30s were having longer marriages than people who married at like 18 to 22, I think.
I didn't read the article. I saw the headline. So, but it said something like that. And it's kind of wild to me, the concept of feeling like an understanding that you're going to be with this person for the rest of your life and not even the thought of how to make it work. I'm definitely a firm believer in people are in your life for seasons. So to expect to still
I like how you said that.
Yeah, but to expect to still be with that person from 20 to 80 is just not realistic to me. Even 30 to 80 or 40 to 80, like it just doesn't seem realistic to me. I feel like as humans we force ourselves to do it because we've come to this belief that this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, society, religion blended.
Yeah, and I honestly don't feel like that's what's supposed to happen. I would prefer if as a society we would come together and acknowledge the fact that who you are at 20 is not who you're going to be at 30, is not who you're going to be at 40, is not who you're going to be at 50. So if you as a person are expected to grow and change, why would you think that your interests won't? I do applaud people like Will and Jada, for example, who've been getting a lot of the past few years. But
I can't believe they're still married. I didn't think it would happen.
Well, Will said he's not going to get divorced. But I don't know.
Their episode of Red Table Talk, and when they were talking about their marriage, and it was
when he was crying,
admirable, in my opinion, that they sat down and they figured out a way to get through life together.
Yeah, sustain together.
Because they did.
And not saying that that's the marriage that I would want, but saying that
let's figure out how we're going to get through this. Like.
You made vows, you said for better or for worse.
You did.
And they took them seriously. And they said, we said that we were going to figure this out and that's what we're going to do. There's,
hey, they're still doing it.
Yeah, I have a certain level of respect for that because obviously not everybody's doing that. People are quick to jump to divorce or to be like, I don't want to deal with you. And I feel like there's growth opportunity in figuring out how to work with someone where it's no longer working.
I agree.
So in that aspect, if you can figure it out, I think that's respectable. So to the people that have been married 20 plus years, 10 plus years, however, that you figured out a way to manage, so to speak, with this person, in my opinion, is admirable because my patience isn't there quite yet. On the other hand, I just don't feel like it's realistic. And I almost wonder if you're forcing yourself through something that's unnecessary. Like if there's no longer, in using that same example where they've been together 20 plus years or something like that, are you still growing together? Or are you growing apart and you're forcing yourselves together? And I feel like that also should be a big focus.
I am so jealous. I wish I figured it out at your age. Shit.
I actually have some interest, an interesting, I guess, response. So I think what marriage has become in our society currently is kind of a double-edged sword because, Amani, you're right. Dr. Robert Sapolsky, who is a professor at the University of Stanford and a primatologist and human ethologist, states that humans are serially monogamous. Typically, we mate with a partner for as long as it takes for a child to pretty much not necessarily become self-sufficient, but to the point where you can mate again. And that's usually around 4 to 5 years. However, due to our forebrain advancement and frontal lobe advantage over other species, and the recognition that we have that communal, going back to Maya's point regarding the benefits of raising a kid with multi-generational family members, that provides more stability long-term in a commerce-driven environment, which is what happened when we came down from came down from the trees, and then following that, moved from hunter-gatherer to a more agrarian-dominated environment. Which brings me to my second point. I was reading a book regarding millionaires and people who had been millionaires, mostly men, and what contributed to their success. And the millionaires who had been successful long-term had longer marriages. And that's because the contribution of another party's support reinforces the ability to pursue the tasks necessary to attain millionaire status. Yeah. So I personally, and I like the commercials or whatever when I see like old people holding hands. I'm like, when I hear people have been married, I know it is adorable. When I hear of people who've been married for 60 years, I envy that. Because, as Amani said with Will and Jada, despite the public spectacle, I do respect their ability to work their shit, because a lot of people are quick to jump to divorce. Additionally, I find that after a certain age, like 30, 35, 40, being a fuck boy or fuck girl, it gets exhausting. You want to go home. You want to have someone who is, hopefully there. And that goes back to Key's point regarding the prenup. You don't know what the future holds. So you want to have some type of legal preventions in place and that's something you guys are going to have to discuss. And it's going to be a contentious conversation, undoubtedly, or hopefully not. But I think that there's value in a long-term solid relationship, not just because you guys can build wealth together, and it's easier to build wealth with a partner, which is why the African American community has less wealth than other demographics, is because more than likely it's just the mothers who are raising the kids, which it's hard to raise a child and pay for all the bills. Kids are, I think, it takes from $300,000 to $500,000 to raise a kid today, so that's really hard.
Yeah, it was closer to $1 million.
Woo! So. Case in point, it's hard to do that. So it's easier to have someone to support you and help you, and in the interest of not being so long-winded. I see Amani's point. Well, Amani made 2 points, really. Like, there's difficulty in seeing the benefit of being married long-term, but for those who can stick it out, there's an element of respect there and some consistency as well. But it would be nice to grow old and then, they are standing next to your deathbed with you with all your kids and grandkids, and there's all this land.
You can still do that with or without marriage.
You can, but there's also kind of going back to the social manipulation that occurred when we moved to an agrarian society. There are government and legal benefits to being married, especially for me.
Yeah.
Right. And especially for me being a lesbian woman, it's really hard to just tell someone, well, this is just my partner. If I say, and hopefully this remains legal, this is my wife, it carries a different weight to it. I think with heterosexual couples, they might have more flexibility and privilege in that area. But for me, I definitely want to have that legal, I guess, cushion to fall back on.
And I totally, from that perspective, I absolutely understand that. And I get that.
Yeah, it's rough. But I'm with you. Like, I think socially it is an institution, especially religiously, that we've been forced to accept. But long term, I see the benefits of monogamy. Even if you aren't necessarily monogamous, and maybe there's an understanding that, you can throw that ass in a circle for a few people, as long as I know who they are, and you go to the doctor, like we work through it. Because to Amani's point, it really isn't within human nature or Homo sapien nature to be monogamous long term. It's just not. It's not. But there are social benefits.
A lot of scientific data coming out where it's just, none of the other great apes, I believe, are like,
right?
Not at all.
We're a promiscuous bunch, and
yes,
which is fine.
Very.
Yeah,
it's not something that can help.
Make sure you're not lying to anybody and that you're being safe. All right,
and that's the point.
But going back to your point, 3 or 4 hours ago. You were talking about abortions in the Black community.
Yes.
For me, I think it's more of socioeconomic. Again, Black having been redlined into, together, and then have those communities stripped of their resources. Certainly the schools. We don't have the education that we all know that one needs to have to be able to make choices concerning family planning. Also, we don't tend to have medical coverage. I'm saying poor people, and which makes it really hard to get contraception or birth control, and especially if you're like a Black family. And I say this to forced birthers all the time. It's like fathers are making these decisions too.
Yes, they are.
And, if you're barely scraping by with 2 kids, like it's a hard choice to make, but like, it's, 3 may not be viable for the family at that time. So fathers are weighing in.
Or weighing out.
Sometimes.
They do that a lot. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that from what I've seen, it's not that women want. We all know those girls, but like generally, women don't want to have an abortion, or they're not callous about having it. It is a difficult decision that they're making to be able to support the rest of their family.
Good point.
I've been having these arguments a lot lately. Since Roe was overturned. So I always advocate for, healthcare for all. Living wages.
It's a healthcare right. Or it should be.
I agree with that. Excuse me. But America's so capitalist. If you need it, we're charging for it.
Not even so much that. It's that. I'm sure capitalism has a factor, but it's more aggressively this whole like, that seed is a person, done deal, or it's always some type of. I've always related to some religious backing. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go there, but
it is a religious stance. Like
it is.
Non-religious people aren't fighting this fight,
right? And then to the level of cruelty that you can't even in certain states allow for a person to have that abortion because of a rape situation. That's a problem. Yeah. Or like even Texas, it doesn't even have to be that kind of cruelty. It can be where it's at the very detriment of the mother itself. Like if you have this, you're either going to have some serious health complications for the rest of your life, or you could potentially die.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And it's really interesting, like the states that are hardest on abortion also have stand your ground laws.
I know, from Florida. It's so interesting. And someone actually brought that up on my show with Matt's show, when I was on Matt's show last week. I can't remember the formal name for the laws, but they were talking about whether or not that was always justified. I think so. You come on my land, you try to threaten my wife and my kids, pump shotgun, if you're not deterred by hearing that sound, then you'll be deterred by the blast. So I'm with that. But I have this very interesting perspective when it comes to not abortion, but the concept of what a baby is. So I am 100%. So I actually made a video on my channel about this very issue. And it's mind blowing to me how not just men, but women in general, because my mother's like, she's a single issue voter, and her issue is abortion. Like this woman has been picketing. Abortion. It's always abortion. And I mean, it's just weird to me. Like she's been volunteering, whatever.
The issue is never healthcare for all.
It's never that. No, because I don't think that's as much of an emotionally stimulating issue.
It should be that.
It should be, especially in our community. But our so I don't think anybody has a right to tell anybody what to do with their baby. And the example I've used, because I was reading the book The Faith Instinct by Nicholas Wade, and he was talking about child rearing practices of hunter-gatherer tribes. And I don't think there are any left in Africa, but the Kung tribe was the most recent. And I don't know if they're still around, but twins, if a woman had twins, one of the twins was killed. Because as a nomadic tribe, well, I mean, who's dragging two babies through the desert? Like it's like,
I hear you. I mean, just like,
but like, are we? I mean, so this is a very similar concept to other animals such as the shoebill, or even polar bears, or lions. They have two children. If one is too weak, they get left behind and eaten. And we are animals, and our lives, I mean, we have healthcare. We live in mine's not that nice, but we live in apartments and houses and places where we can like hunker down. But for them, they see the difficulty and the difficulty in dragging another kid around the desert. I mean, that's hard to do. Yeah. I don't want to go outside. I don't even like to, I used to work for the Boys and Girls Club. I was like, it's too hot. We're not going to be outside. We're not doing that. We're going inside. Take the children inside. But they don't have that privilege. So I think it's not our place to tell them. I mean, it's a harsh reality, right? But it's not our place to tell them. It's just not.
They need to sustain.
Right.
And
I got distracted by a chat because this is a very interesting, and I will take this person for their word as it being an honest question. Instead of birth control or drug birth control, why don't women avoid their ovulation period? Is it just not that easy?
Who said that?
Is this a male who asked that shit? Because it's got to be a male.
No.
How do you avoid your that's something that my body tells me to do. How do you stop it?
Ovulation, besides the whole purpose of pregnancy or whatnot, it's actual a normal functioning hormone type thing, like testosterone is for men.
It's actually designed to attract males. Interestingly enough, too, is exactly, and also our bodies take different change morphologically as well. Like our cheeks become more full and redder.
We need to shed that lining in our uterus. Sorry, I'm getting graphic.
Well, that's the period. But but men are so interestingly enough, when it comes to some primates and other species, females have evolved the ability to regulate their ovulation in order to make it appear to other males, because in other species that are alpha male dominant, like chimpanzees, gorillas, lions, if a female is pregnant when an alpha male is overtaken, the other male will try to destroy kill the baby, force an abortion through increased stress. Or when she gives birth, that male will kill that baby because he's not going to share the resources with a child that's not his. So some females, I can't determine or remember which species, but Dr. Robert Sapolsky, Stanford, he's a genius. They've developed an evolutionary ability to mask pregnancy by forcing ovulation despite being pregnant. And for those who don't know, homeboy probably, that when women are pregnant, they don't have periods because they're not shedding eggs because they already got one egg that they're cooking or scrambling. So, but some species have developed the ability to give off, I guess, the traits or basic indications of ovulation to protect that offspring from the new male who has taken over. So while they've evolved, well, to your point, they've evolved that ability. Homo sapien females have not. So no, we cannot stop ovulating.
Right. And also to that.
So what I'm also wondering real quick is this person talking about the rhythm method? Are you guys familiar with that? It's really big with cat. It's really big
do
with
like the pull-out
Catholics.
method.
No, I mean,
that kind of like tracking.
It's tracking
Amani like that.
when
thought it
you
was funny.
are. It's tracking when you're ovulating, when you're fertile, and having sex during that time.
Yeah, those apps. We had I think my ex still gets those. No, he said turn those emails off. I don't need to know when you're ovulating. Yes.
Well, and that brings me to my point. If enter means that person that asked that question meant tracking the ovulation, that's still not the best effective way, because abnormal periods are a thing.
Yes,
abnormal periods are normal, too. Or more or less. I won't say like definitively it's supposed to be normal, but more women have those abnormal periods, which in turn, what word do I want to like?
It can convolute it can convolute the
like push out the time where you're supposed to have that ovulation time. Anyway,
exactly, because between 21, according to Google, between 21 and 28 days, that's when your period hits. Outside of that,
yeah, and I mean, every woman's different. Like before I was on, like right now I have an IUD, which is awesome. But like my periods were heavy. They were painful. They were every 3 weeks, and they were a week long.
Oh yeah, I'm noticing mine as I'm aging. I'm starting to like drip into this key. You gonna be all right. I'm starting. I noticed his face. He's like, my mama's like, I'm not hurt. I'm like, Mama, why? Mama, why you got an IUD?
I cannot contribute to this at all.
My mama does not have sex. Why would you need an IUD, Mama?
Yes, Key, please contribute.
I know, yeah. Even when I'm not active, I love my IUD.
I got so much to say about periods.
I want to know
talk about periods. Do you have any period questions?
Is your woman on an IUD? Is your mother? Not your mother? We already established that. Is your woman using an IUD?
Oh, I do not have a woman right now.
Oh, well, when you get one, will you encourage her to use an IUD?
I gotta look up what that is again. It's that little Y thing, right?
It's the thing you put
in there.
I'm shocked he knows
that. It's shaped like a Y.
Up there, in there. Up and in there.
To try and help Key here and refocus to
Jenna's a nurse, so she knows what she's
that's right. You're a nurse. Go ahead, Jenna.
Shove that on. No, I'm just kidding. Just to refocus it so we can move on, because I know it's entirely uncomfortable. But that question intrigued me only because even though it seemed like a really stupid, dishonest question, I'm not saying it that it is individual. I'm saying individual because I cannot pronounce your screen name, so I apologize. That just drives the lack of appropriate education for Black young girls that which drives to your point, Nikki, of increased abortions in Black women. Because if all they hear, especially for me, I didn't get the sex talk from my parents. I first learned about sex first through my friends at school and then porn.
Yo, my mama locked me in a van at age 10 at my brother's basketball practice and says, so do you, because I had started my period early. She asked me, do you understand sex? And it was so weird because in my head, I knew, I was like, oh God, it goes in there. It goes in there.
Yeah. You're lucky that had that. I didn't.
And then my dad gave me the talk right before I went to college at a BILO.
Your dad did?
He was like, well, he was saying basically when you go to college, just be aware that men, what did he say? Men like anything with a slit. And sex feels good, but you need to wait until marriage. BILO. Y'all still got BILOs out there? You just got Kroger. What is it?
Oh,
y'all don't even Jenna's face.
I'm just
I'm like, what's a grocery store?
She's like, I just do Instacart. Y'all, you proletariats out there.
Before I went to college, my father just told me, don't bring home any baggage. That was my sex talk from my dad. And from my mother, it was more along the lines of the same thing when I was younger. And I, developed and had menstruated early too. I was 10 years old. So, that wasn't in the conversation at that time either. Maybe at that time I was still a bit too young. Who knows? I don't really know. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. Just to help Key, we can transition to something else.
Yeah, no, my parents
What's that question you got?
Like, would not talk to me anything sexual at all. But when Amani was in the first grade, I was watching something with Dr. Phil, and they were like, no, you need to talk to your kids young, like in grade school. I'm like, why would I talk? Like, that just seems silly. She was 7 years old, and I asked her what sex was, and she was like, well, it's when a boy's penis goes into your vagina. And I'm like, holy hell.
She knows how. How is it possible?
I think I might have known.
It was like a second nature. I just knew. I figured. So my parents are very Christian, very heavily Christian. They were very protective, Christian school, private school. So I didn't really have access to all of the things kids do today. This was in 96, right? So like, I didn't really have access to that, but I still knew it went in there. When she asked me, it was weird because she was like, do you know how this works? And in my head, I was like, it goes in there, but I don't like the fact that it does.
It goes right. All he's doing is this. It's in there.
It goes in there. It does. But in my 10-year-old mind, I was like, how is that possible? Because it's so gross that it goes in there. Then I went to college and it went in there. So you're welcome. When we were in the dorm, all my friends in the dorm on like day damn one, when we moved in, we were like, we're going to stay virgins until marriage. We were counting down. Within 2 weeks, every single person in that room had voided their virginity. So
2 weeks
didn't last. God. 2 weeks. It took time. We were like, yo,
swag on the men in that school.
Middle Tennessee State University. You want to get fucked? It's gonna happen. So,
question.
Let's redirect the conversation.
I know. I'm ready for the test. Oh my God.
Key, what's an IUD? Have you been listening? Multiple choice. Is an IUD? Key's not ready for the test.
He's not ready for the test.
Multiple choice.
All right. Let's talk about black shit, and we'll get away from sex.
It was supposed to be abortion, but we went into.
Well, I mean,
we covered it. We covered it.
Sex ed is all part of abortion. Women's
health.
That's
exactly. I think that's how the pivot happened.
Yeah.
It's inadvertent. Sex.
All right, black shit. Important. So let's talk about civil rights movement leaders. Like, who impressed you that you didn't learn about in school?
I have a couple, only in the recent years. It's so funny how much I learned about most Black history in my atheist years, or just coming out of, still moving away from school history texts to actually Googling or listening to other things, or actually reading legitimate books about, more Black history. But anyway, one would be, there was a Black lesbian woman named Ernestine Eckstein, something like that, where this is before Marsha P. Johnson. She was one of those more or less better known activists, especially in the LGBT movement during the 60s. And why she stands out to me is that I was always raised on the knowledge, or I would say my family's knowledge of, the whole civil rights movement at the time of the LGBT movement weren't the same. Black people had it worse. So, the gay people, they have their own shit. I'm like, well, I mean, it's more or less still the same, but that was, what they fed me, because, the whole homophobic bullshit, within Black Christians. So what stood out from that was, I know there's an image of her picketing in front of the White House, and she's not just the only Black woman, but Black person. And like I said, she was a lesbian. She recently died some years ago. But she was the only Black person in a sea of, white people that were of the LGBT community, a part of that kind of picket line. And the significance to me was because, the fight is the same. The fight was the same at that time because it was around like 1965, same year of, at the height of the civil rights movement, and everything else. The fight felt the same whether you were Black or homosexual or both. So that stood out. And then another one was what's his name? A Philip Randolph, something like that. He was like one of the major labor leaders, worked really close with MLK to really organize like the March on Washington when he did the I Have a Dream speech. Significance for him is that he was one of those few Black atheists. Because, with civil rights movement, a lot of people want to, gravitate to how much the reliance on, the church. And yes, there's significance to,
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Church then, because of all the, what you can think of that was happening to Black folks back then. They house people, they help provide money, education, food, all that. And, that's important and vital to, Black people in the movement then. But he famously was, quoted and saying so much against, religion, that religion and the movement should not be tied. He had a very, very brilliant quote about prayer, saying prayer is not a remedy. It's considered nothing but a fervent wish, something along those lines. And I was like, I like that.
That's a Twitter quote.
Those were like my two favorite ones. Yeah.
For me, I would say present day. And these are people who are active now, because the civil rights movement is still going on, but not necessarily in such a, flamboyant isn't the word I'm using, but I guess not such as a public way, because BLM has been villainized and in some cases, and I'm going to say this with caution, the message itself is fine, but the leaders, like with the exploitation of funds and like the using funds to purchase mansions, and that's not good. But there are two people that are driving change in the Black community, especially from a financial perspective currently. And that's Dr. Boyce Watkins and Dr. Claude Anderson. And I don't know if you guys are aware of them. They're very Afrocentric leaders, and they make some excellent points. It's so just kind of a quick disclaimer. I find it really hard to watch movies like Roots or any type of historical references to Jim Crow or any slave. Like I'm about to get put out of this podcast, but I've actually never seen The Color Purple.
The Color Purple was good. 12 Years a Slave was hard.
That's hard.
I told myself that was the last slave movie I have to see.
Right. I wrote them off after. Well, there was one in 2019 about Harriet Tubman that I can't remember why I watched it, but after 12 Years a Slave, I was just like, nope, I'm done. Like, I can't.
Have you guys seen? I just watched it a couple weeks ago. It's called Master with Regina Hall in it.
Heard of it.
It's about a woman who was the first like master or dean at a really prestigious university. I guess it's a parallel to a Yale or a Harvard. And apparently there's this witch, spoiler alert, that is killing women who live in a specific dorm room. But what people don't understand is the women that have been killed are Black women. And basically it makes them jump out of windows or commit suicide. But really, what the witch is racism. And there's a lot of, it's just very depressing. And I can't do that. It's so frustrating. Like I haven't read the 13, what's the book? 13, or the movie, something about the 13th Amendment. I can't remember. But things like that make me feel like shit, because I woke up and was raised in a white community, the suburbs, big ass house, upper middle, right. So seeing these things just made me feel like, well, I'm not really supposed to be here, and there's no way for us to actually come up. Why do I have this privilege, or how do we get this privilege if things are so, irreputably hard? Yeah, like if we can't actually make progress, how did we get here? So I just don't watch them. It's hard.
I do want to circle back to that because I want to acknowledge the very different Black experience being middle class as opposed to poor.
Thank you.
And I kind of feel like there's some kind of intersectionality
upper
where we get missed right there.
Yeah, they don't know about us.
We have a question from the chat.
On you.
across the
Maya's gonna be like, and with that being said, thank you so much for watching. We're gonna jump off now.
Jena, I blame you. Like, I said no channel until Amani.
Yes.
You're into Black pop culture. What are your thoughts on Kanye West?
I love Hitler. I didn't know he said that. He said that. I'm Googling that.
Yeah. Apparently made all of our microphones. And
I'm about to get the FBI on my browser, but I'm going to Google it. Kanye West says, I Love Hitler on Off the Rails Alex Jones show. I Love Hitler 1984 directed. No. That's not the same thing.
When Alex Jones is trying to tone you down and reel you in.
Where are we?
I actually watched the clip.
Where are we in our lives?
Right.
Why?
Right.
Where are we? Yeah.
Wow. It was bad. No,
that's not good.
He was simping for Nazis, and is my stream still up? It was bad.
This video has been taken down as a violation of the YouTube terms of service.
It's like, we do not mention Kanye West on this platform.
Yeah, you were good until about a minute or an hour, 30 minutes in, but no.
I'm sorry. Honey, what were you gonna say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess going to what he's addressing specifically, him saying slavery was a choice.
I have some interesting comments on that, actually. This isn't it. Go ahead. The ring light was like, no, bitch. No, bitch. You're not about to say this shit. No. The ring light was like, no. Not happening. Okay, we're good. Oh, wait, here's the cord. Okay, we're good.
I just feel like it was extremely ignorant. Not only for the lack of acknowledging what slaves have gone through, but the lack of empathy statement.
Yes.
And understanding the mindset of a slave, of a group of people that were broken down so bad to the point that it wasn't a choice to stay there. Like, you've been brainwashed to an extent and you're extremely fearful. And when you you can look at even an abusive relationship, like specifically where a man is abusing a woman in a relationship, they use that to keep the woman in the relationship. These are manipulative tactics, which is exactly what a slave owner was doing to their slaves. White people throughout history have mastered this across all cultures. So
they're the ones who are. Oh, go ahead. I have some. This is a tough one for me. This is a tough one for me. Let me just say, my white friend and I actually disagree on this topic, oddly enough. But go ahead.
Well, real. Yeah, I'm sorry. Mani, were you?
Yeah, go ahead, girl.
Finishing up.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it was more so, I guess, upsetting to me. Because I do remember in his rant when he was saying it, he was like, "Oh, if I was a slave, I'd be a Harriet Tubman." And
fair enough.
I'm trying to find the right word that I need to express exactly how I'm feeling, but I just completely think that's false. The amount of courage and strength that you need to have to she knew if she were caught, like, the absolute worst was going to happen. To accept that as your fate and to choose to still do what you did anyway.
Courage
he doesn't
strength.
Possess that. Like, most people don't possess that. Most humans don't possess that. The amount of fearlessness that you have to have in order to do that. And for him to say, "Oh, I would be that," but then there are interviews out there where you got upset at somebody for saying that your chain looked like white Jesus.
He is a
and like took the
Kanye's
chain
a
off.
house
So
slave.
like
Kanye
Kanye's
is
a house
Samuel L.
slave.
Kanye is totally Samuel L. Jackson and
He's
Django.
Uncle Ruckus. And Candace is the female version of Uncle Ruckus.
But the lack of awareness for human behavior and interactions, and then what people were going through that time, is disappointing, I guess to say. I preach that people should try to be more empathetic and to try to relate to those going through whatever you're not. And it's disappointing that you know that this is a topic that still affects Black Americans specifically to this day, and you're not going to try to even understand what the struggle is. You're immediately putting yourself higher than, and like you're not. Most people aren't. That's why there were very few people during that time that were able to do those type of things.
Right.
But to that point though, and this is actually, I'm glad you said that, because to me, that's the problem. I know white people did this and white people did that, and white people, yeah, it does take strength and it does take courage. And I'm going to try to say this without being canceled, but it's tough to look back at your history and ask, or maybe wonder, why didn't we have a little bit more strength and courage? And let me just so I mentioned Boyce Watkins, and he mentioned this a quote about someone who did say, I would rather have cut my throat than been a slave. And he's very Afrocentric, very supportive of the Black community, really tries to hone in on Black men specifically, which as he should do, and become like a role model and leader. But the world doesn't care, right? The universe doesn't care. The universe doesn't care about empathy or courage or whatever. You gotta fight, and not that some didn't. And Harriet Tubman is an example, of course. There were those who did, but it's not a fun feeling to feel like you're weak. You were easily dominated. You're easily manipulated. You're easily taken over.
You'd have to have some concept of that too. I mean, if you're like constantly being fed Bible verses about how this is your place, this is what God would have for you. If you want to get to heaven, like you have to be the best slave, because Paul said that's what you should do.
Fuck Paul,
I think
we got out.
And where do you go? I mean,
tone deaf statement.
Where do you go? You are born and raised on this farm, and this is what you were told to do, and this is your entire world. So I step off this farm and I go where?
And that's why
that just goes back to my
abusive relationship.
Though.
Like in modern day times, if you see women
abuser,
that are with their abuser, they really do in their minds believe that this is all I have and I have to stick it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
and that's why I use.
I mean, they were in the ultimate abusive situation.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the mindset of you've been forcibly taken from your home. This is 400 years, so you now no longer know where home is. You don't know what's waiting for you, and all you know is that
language is different.
Escape, it's death.
The terrain
and people across the board are scared of death. So.
And they made a point of making an example out of the ones that tried to run, and this is what will happen to you.
Luck breaking.
Which is a part of the manipulation.
Yeah.
And I did my thesis in college on intimate partner violence and whether or not Black women or white women who were victims were more likely to pursue therapeutic resources. I've volunteered in many intimate partner violence or domestic violence shelter. I'll never forget in college, I saw a woman with her ear ripped off, like the top part of her ear, because her husband got so angry. It was like, how you see dogs like in a fight, who've been in a fight and their ears ripped off? It looked just like that. It was wild to see a Homo sapien in such a similar scenario. And I have to admit, this is a tough one for me. This is a tough one. And I understand. I want to, so as a person who's dealt with, I have to preface this cautiously. Kanye West I don't think Kanye is mentally healthy. As somebody who has dealt with mental health issues, I don't think he is. And
no, he's bipolar. Yeah.
Okay, so yes. Okay, so I don't think he's mentally healthy. Additionally, I think that his ability to make it into the big house has maybe, as Amani very accurately said, detracted from his sense of empathy. Kanye and Candace know, and we all know, being in the big house is a lot more comfortable than being in the field. And just like Uncle Ruckus, who says, don't trust them new niggas over there. Spit they nigga essence in the air. Don't trust them new niggas with it. Like, it's a funny episode, but like, there's Dr. Claude Anderson calls it meritorious manumission, where African Americans will side against each other because they know, or at least suspect, that it's better to align with the master who can provide resources and the ability to climb socially than actually aligning with your people and remaining maybe socioeconomically disadvantaged as a result. So Kanye and Candace know being in the big house is more comfortable, but I just don't think they have to go to the links. I mean, like, you can be married to a white man or a white woman and not act a fool.
Candace is a grifter. She's just
Candace is a grifter. Yeah,
ultimate trash.
Yeah, right. But she's more intelligent than Kanye.
But
he needs to get help.
Well. Yeah,
he's not well. Candace is well. She's just Candace.
But Candace is selling us out for cash, and
she knows it.
She knows what she's doing.
She does, and I don't know who's pulling the strings behind Kanye, but I heard a partial amount of his interview with Tucker Carlson, and he's like comparing himself to David in the Bible, and Kanye needs some help, but I have some frustration with, and I always have to, it's so difficult, it's so hard to say this, but as a Black woman, and this goes back to what we were talking about regarding Black men. Why didn't y'all protect us? Like, that's what goes through my head. It's like, yeah, they're big, threatening. Yeah, they come with these different, weapons and all this, but why didn't y'all protect us? Like, and I know that's like, they're horrible. White people are so manipulative and so much more intellectually. I get it. But like,
it's not that. It's not, it's individual Black people. Even as a collective, we're still functioning and fighting individually against the U.S. government. Like, it's never been, we say white people, and I don't like that. It brings more of like the division narrative of, white man bad. And it's never been about that. It's been about systemic oppression. It's been about the rich versus the poor, even in slavery.
That's true.
I don't know how. And you need more than, our social status doesn't permit us the leverage we need to fight the U.S. government.
Right.
We need help.
It doesn't.
In the government.
In this room, in this specific room, we have some very highly educated, highly articulate, highly eloquent African Americans. And I think our issues is that when we get into the room, we start talking about what we can do. It's hard to translate that passion and that desire to the rest of the community, because the systemic racism is extremely disheartening. And I think Amani made a good point when she referenced basically learned helplessness, which is a psychological term. After things get so rough, after a point, you're just like, this is who I am. And Maya followed up with that with an excellent point, using Christianity to emphasize Amani's point. I can also relate to that, being with my father. He's very rigid in his thinking about women's sizes. Like, women need to be small, they need to be thin. And body dysmorphia was a big issue for me because, when someone's telling you you're too fat, you're too fat, you're too fat, even if you're not too fat, exactly, you start believing you are. It's the same as telling a kid they're stupid. And it is a problem. It just hurts, right? Like, you don't want to look up and feel like you're the lowest, or simply because of your skin color. You don't want to feel that way. And it does foster some frustration. I know for me it does. Just to be honest, it's hard.
Key, you got words.
I
You got
know.
words on Kanye. I know
Yeah,
you
Key,
got
Come
what's
on,
up
speak of
what's
black
up over
men.
there? Yes. As
What do
black
black
man,
men
please.
think about Kanye? Black men kind of piss me off about Kanye and R. Kelly, because like it's like they kind
Oh
of
god. Well, one of them's an actual criminal, so you're right.
and
why though?
I don't
Of
like
people.
that. I mean, they're getting a little too overprotective. I'm like, at some point, it's time to let go of your idol. But I'm sorry, I asked you a question. I'm going to let you talk.
DFI LeBron are agents. Them.
With Kanye, before all that, I was usually like with him, but I was like, yeah, he makes good music. I like him. He's cool. Like after he got his divorce, he lost his wife, he lost his children, and then he had this like enemy like get with his ex, like, and he's just like desperate. It's like, yeah, God's gonna allow me to get back with my wife. Like it's all gonna be better. I'm just like, it's not. But you can hold on to that hope for whatever. Like, it may or may not get better for him. Yeah.
No.
But I was still with him because like I understand you're still in that like mental state where you just like lost everything basically and you're not well. So I'm just like, your actions aren't the best, but I understand them. But like after with all the Nazi shit, the swastika, the Hitler, and all of that stuff, I'm just like, all right, I can't defend you anymore. Like you crossed the line and there's no coming back. It's almost like he's trying to destroy his own career or something. Like he just got bored of being famous. And it's just like, speedrun trying to destroy my career or something. And it's just like bro,
when did
I don't know what he's doing
die?
now.
Oh, God.
6
Or college
6
dropout.
No, it was more recent, I thought.
Maybe that's close to 6.
Was it?
Because I think maybe this might, because wasn't,
Well,
who
no,
was
that's
keeping
when
him?
we actually thought this his mom was keeping him in check, but
yes,
exactly.
and that's
I know
when,
that kind of started the avalanche of stuff because
Yeah.
It was like
yeah,
whole
in the black community, though.
conspiracy,
Yeah.
his whole conspiracy he hung on to about, you when you're a hotshot celebrity in Hollywood or whatever the fuck ever, you sacrifice something that you love the most in order to reach a certain status, and he bought into that conspiracy, i.e. his mom dying on that surgery table because she got that cosmetic surgery or
nose
whatever.
job.
That was in his mind, as at that time he was not really getting treatment or starting treatment on his bipolar.
Plus
that could like bleed into
I
him.
can relate to that. Like,
She died in
conspiracy.
November 2007.
Oh, well, that's a long time ago. Wow.
But no, that's when.
What?
I remember, because Kanye, he was a music. Everybody knew him to be a musical genius, and I remember he just started saying. I remember a lot of people in the music industry just like Kanye's mom was really holding it down. We had no idea.
Yeah.
She must have been, but that was so long ago. He really started to go. Maybe it was his divorce. Maybe with Kim. God bless.
There definitely be a trigger.
Like a lot of people were even in like a lot of white people have been saying, well, the black community only hears now, and it's like, no, it's been some years. Amani, you're really big into music.
That's just not a fair statement either, because when the whole VMA Taylor Swift thing happened, his comeback to music was on BET. Like, it was because of the black community that he was able to get popular again. White people were completely done with him after that.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't really know what happened.
2009.
I guess I do know. Like, it was his comeback. Him and Jay-Z did the Watch the Throne, and like that was everywhere.
Is that what song was on that? I'm Going Ham.
They had a couple of hits on that.
Yeah.
Not a bad song.
I don't remember if he married Kim before or after that happened, but somewhere when Kim came into the mix is when things started going downhill. It's when his audience did start turning more like white, and
2014 they got married.
Gained like a cult following from that. And that's kind of when I started noticing things going downhill, his ego getting like extremely inflated. And then I think also because he was able to turn Kim from like a reality hoe to a household name, or help in her transformation because of that.
They're going on
Kind
20
of also
years.
think that inflated his ego.
They're going on. I did not know that the Kardashians. I have never seen an episode of that show. I did not know they were going into 20 years. I did not know that. 20 years.
Yeah.
We need to. This planet is done for. It's over. It's just. What did the guy say in Alien? It's over, man. It's over. It's over. But it's a very multifaceted problem.
It is
regarding Kanye, and I hate that the entertainers. Okay, so on Truth Wanted, Daniel asked me a question. He was like, "What do you think could be done to basically inspire other Blacks to be atheists?" And I said, "When celebrities, athletes, and rappers and others actually endorse it." Because accordingly, statistically, Dr. Boyce Watkins has represented or put forth some research that shows that we're most likely to be swayed by the media and by pop culture. And Jena, I think you mentioned BET, they know that. That's why their whole entire advertisement foundation is do it for the culture, the culture, the culture. I hate that. The only time I saw BET was really at the gym. Lord knows I haven't been to the Planet Fitness in like 3 months. But I wish I ain't going back now. They'd be like, "What happened to you?" I'm like, "Shh, I'm getting there. Shut up." I'm going back.
Now all Black people watch BET. It's all right.
I don't, but I will say I have a guilty.
But you didn't watch it that much either. It's okay.
I didn't watch BET, but at the gym they had like Fox News, CNN, BET, like the same channels on. But there were a couple shows I tried to watch that were Tyler Perry shows, but I will admit Medea is a guilty pleasure. I have to admit, she's fucking funny.
I can't Medea anymore.
I hate to. What is that South Park episode?
I love Diary of a Strong Black Woman, but that I think is like kind of a one-hit wonder.
I guess.
It's kind of his whole.
I just don't like Tyler.
He makes fun of the Black community. I know. My dad hates it. He's like, "This was my family. I can't watch this." But I don't know why that character just makes me laugh. It's so funny.
Well, I mean, clearly it's not just you. She's really popular. But I mean, it's kind of like
in that
buffoonery.
South Park episode. Yes, it's buffoonery.
Right. Like, I would prefer that, since we're still fighting for, to be seen as actual human beings.
Right.
Like, we should get fair representation.
Quick question. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kind of segueing into Medea. Well, that made me think of something that Boyce Watkins and Dr. Claude Anderson have a big problem with. And also Idris Elba and Will Smith commented on, and here's what it is. The portrayal of Black men in media as women. Like Chris Rock and
I know what you mean. Playing those stereotypical
women,
big mama,
like Eddie Murphy, Steve, what's his name? Martin, not Martin Lawrence. Martin
Lawrence did, Shanae.
Shanae, right.
That one guy that
what's her name? Rasputia. Like, what do you think that? So they think it's like a conspiracy to make Black men look less like leaders, and continue the demise of the Black community. And the rappers, like Boondocks did that episode with that rapper that was wearing dresses, but it was like a play on. What was the rapper that was wearing dresses?
I know what you're talking. I know. I watched Boondocks, but I forget the name. But I didn't know you were going to take it that direction. I thought you were going to take it more towards. I know I did a talk on over a year ago on misogynoir, like how the portrayal of Black women in these type of caricatures, but done by Black men, only,
that's a flip side.
Deepens the stigma. Well, you took it somewhere else. I didn't know where.
I did. But I like that. The whole. I've never even thought of it. I actually have never thought of it from the Black woman's perspective of like that's
nobody thinks about the Black woman's perspective.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, Nikki. No one thinks about the Black list.
Ever. How could we? Well, no.
No, I mean,
because
I don't know. It depends on where it's
that.
coming from. Because, like, I don't think, one, white people don't watch Black shows. There's too many Black people in it. It's a Black show. It ain't for me. I'm going to watch something else.
Chappelle, Key and Peele, and Boondocks. I will give them. They do tend to like that. I'll admit it. But as far as like maybe the BET shows,
but no. And as far as
did you say
the Black community,
porn? What the hell?
No, as far as people within
Jena.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said white people like Key and Peele.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can get white people to like, you know, Eddie Murphy, but like,
or Tyler Perry.
There's some crossover.
Yeah, they became household
Oprah.
names.
Yeah,
Oprah.
There's some crossover people, but like by and large, like they're not following us. It's what it sounds like to me is some like tired Kevin Samuels type shit.
Oh my goodness. Let him stay in the grave, Maya. May he not rest in hell.
You gotta make him rise, Maya.
When my friend found out,
doesn't it sound like
he
that?
Died, right?
I mean, it sounds like who's the fucker?
Do y'all know who Kevin Samuels is? Key Amani.
Do y'all know who Fresh and Fit is? That's the real question.
She knows who Fresh and Fit is.
Fresh and Fit. They're the Kevin. But you don't know who Fresh and Fit, girl. Fresh and Fit. They're two Black men who apparently like really slid into the red pill movement, especially after Kevin Samuels died, and are like, they're like, don't marry Black single women, Black women. We don't date Lakeishas. We ain't down with the darkies. We ain't like, we don't. Yes, one of them dark as hell, and the other one was raised by a single mama.
So my man white anyway, so it's okay. I got you.
Well, they would be like, we wouldn't date you anyway because you probably got 15 kids and you're gonna drag us down.
Yep,
like
totally
they're really bad. 15. They had Andrew Tate
really bad.
by 17 different daddies. 15 kids by 17. But no, Fresh and Fit is really bad. But Andrew Tate and so Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit are like offshoots of Kevin Samuels. Mm-hmm. And then that one guy, Derek Jackson, who was they're all horrible. They're just horrible.
Yeah, they're just horrible. Well, I mean, it's just more of the same. And so when you're talking about
women, it was just fake.
I'm sorry.
What did you say, Money?
Derek Jackson did speak in praise of Black women. It was just fake.
That he was cheating on his wife.
Yeah, but his actual videos was telling Black women not to to do better, not to accept like bullshit or anything like that from like stuff that. Yeah, but he was preaching bullshit. Yeah, he was preaching stuff that he was not living. So that's where Derek Jackson went wrong. But the stuff that he was preaching was in support of Black women doing better.
And then cheating on his woman as she sat there saying, God supports me and I'm going to stay with my husband, looking like a prisoner of war. It's like that whole video. So there's these two YouTubers. They're excellent. Abba and Preach. And they're kind of like the anti-Fresh and Fit. They had a little beef going on. It was very weird to me. But Abba and Preach, one's from Ethiopia, one's from Canada, or Haitian. Lord have mercy. Let me put this Jack. Haiti. Stay over here, Jack. One's from Haiti, one's from Ethiopia, but I thought they live in Canada. I thought they were from America. Their English is, they speak French to each other, but they talk a lot about Derek Jackson, Kevin Samuels, and Fresh and Fit. And their perspective is that the three of them have been manipulating the Black community, or Black men specifically. Mm-hmm. Even though Derek Jackson's target was Black women, Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit have been manipulating Black men. This red pill movement, I think Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate are kind of on the white versions. But actually Jordan Peterson is less offensive in my perspective, just because of his
he doesn't have a ring of women that he abuses and sex traffics, so yes,
nice.
There's that, and he doesn't say stuff like don't marry single women and shit like that, so he's in that group of men, which is not really the best comparison. Jordan Peterson is the lead. Actually, I don't even think you can really compare them, because like these guys aren't, they don't have the psychology degrees and all of that, but yeah, so Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit are kind of the Black versions of like Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate. So Andrew Tate's still in jail, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, last I checked, he was bitching because jail was hard.
Well, he's a real alpha male. He's a top G, so shouldn't he be able to? He can't sell his classes in jail. He converted to Islam, y'all, like 3 months ago.
I got the news alert from Oz over here that Andrew Tate claims to be black.
He is actually half black. Yeah.
No,
so Boyce Watkins said that. He said Andrew Tate's a brother.
We're gonna take this up with the black committee.
We're gonna have to take it to Dave Chappelle's.
No. We're gonna do it old school. We're gonna do it old. Get the brown paper bag. Compare it. If he lighter than that,
he can pass.
He ain't.
I thought he was Romanian, but he's actually from Chicago. I did not know Andrew Tate actually is like.
I didn't know he existed until all this started. I was living in my happy little bubble.
You were, and then he popped that shit, just like everyone else is.
Man.
Andrew Tate is confusing because he's actually extremely eloquent, extremely intelligent, well-spoken. So he can be a tough one.
He's not as well-spoken with that fake-ass accent he puts on.
Is it fake?
And it changes every time he talks.
He was born in America.
He does not have the same accent every time he talks.
That's a good point, though. But he is actually quite, and I hate to actually, when I listen to him, because like, okay, he's actually not a complete idiot like Fresh and Fit.
He's not a dumb, but he's a dummy.
No, he ain't dumb, but he is a dummy. Thank you. You said it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do have an interesting point. I know, I don't think we're that far removed generational wise for Key and Amani as far as, 2 points. As far as perspectives about Blackness, meaning, you don't talk this way, listen to this, listen to that, or dress this way, this, that, and the other. So you're not considered to be black, even though your skin color, obviously. I'll be right. You walk down the street, you African American. So,
I'm running up to the restroom real fast. But when the Popeyes girl told me in the drive-thru I sounded white, I knew I had a problem. Okay,
you don't sound white. You don't sound stereotypically black. So ergo, you sound white.
And I get that. I've gotten that, and I get that too. My nickname from kindergarten up until like college, third year, something like that, from different people, my nickname was Oreo. So I can relate.
Why
but anyway,
like that?
I not like that.
It's,
You don't
it's
sound
not an act.
Okay. But anyway,
I'm sorry, what were we saying to them?
Amani, any perspective from that? Because I know what I was grew up on. I know what was said to me, all that stuff.
Well, when I was
obviously my hairy nature.
Middle school, I like this color. When I was in like school, I remember someone said I talked proper. And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "You don't talk black." And
I got that too.
Yeah. And I was just like, I kind of like separate the two, like, blackness into like, you have your black people and you have your niggas.
Niggas! Like Chris Rock said, African Americans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think like when people talk about blackness, they're more focused on like the nigga part with like the talk, like, gangsters, and it's like, hey, what's up, cuz? Like, how you feeling? I was at work, and people usually like talk like that, like they say like Doug and like all that, and more like black, quote unquote. But they asked like, where you from? Like, I said I'm from Illinois. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, why? It's like, oh, you don't talk like us. And it's like, little did they know, I'm mostly born and raised here, just like probably not in the same part as everyone else. But
right. And majority, I'm going to assume, majority of those comments come from people that are black.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all black. Yeah, every single
all black. Yeah.
Why you talk white? Why you talk proper? Why you sound so white? Yeah.
Why you not talk sound like us?
Actually, I have a more interesting. Not to. I mean, it's similar to yours though, but like, what does code switching mean to you?
Code switching
job is what it means.
I do that. It just, for me personally, it makes me more comfortable in the situation since I'm awkward often. Like I will code switch with certain people. Not like I won't say like at the job I work with now, but with like certain people, like if they're really nigga like, quote unquote, then I'll talk nigga like. Because it feels like I like to mirror people, so I'll give the energy that they give back, and like I don't feel like they form me, quote unquote, is like able to like keep up with them, you know. So just to make me feel comfortable, I will be more nigga like. And then you also have like, you know, the work, like the customer service, like code switching and stuff like that. I feel like everyone does that. Like, you know, you act certain ways with like certain people. You have different personalities with like group A and group B, like your friends and family and stuff.
My dad straight told me if your hair is not straight and you don't sound white, you're not going to get a job. He straight said it. We were told specifically, my father to this day, well, not in the past year, still corrects our grammar. And I understand it. I do. They want the best for us, right? I mean, but in his defense, when I walk into interviews and I do use this level of eloquence and articulation, white people are captivated. They're like, oh, well, she's the token. She's the one that we can trust not to be a nigga, you know, in the office. Well, they'd probably say hardy are, but like we can trust her not to represent those stereotypes that we, you know, fear so much. So then that small quota that needs to be filled, you get the privilege of filling that quota. It does prove beneficial to disarm white people by speaking in a way that contradicts the stereotypes that they are accustomed to. I have dreads now, but I have dreads simply because I, you know, in the Black lesbian community, wearing weave, you know, people think you're a femme, and I'm not. So I would be like you sisters. I see you. I love my weave. I miss it. My weave was long. My weave was sexy. I had that 1B30. I had that golden, I had that one. I got Amani got that 1B30. She knows what I'm talking about. I know. I love that weave. My sister cut her hair. She did a big chop, right? Came home with her afro. My daddy said, "Where your head? Put some hair in your head. Where your hair at?" So it's, but we
well, I mean, yeah, he's coming from that era though.
Yeah. He is, but in his defense, there's privilege there. When there's
my mom's best friend was she was white, Black, and Hispanic. And her dad was light enough to pass, so he got a management job. Wouldn't show the family off to anybody.
Right.
And his kids weren't allowed, like, she wasn't allowed to play with my mom. She's too dark to be her friend. And, you know, they didn't they were friends in school, but they didn't reconnect until they graduated. I mean, it was just crazy, like, coming from that era.
That's hard. Oh, Amani.
Amani.
Yeah.
I know you got some ideas on code switching.
I've been fortunate to not have, I guess, been called out for the way that I talk. I don't really have any memories of anybody stating like, "Oh, you talk like a white girl," or "You talk too proper," or anything like that. Usually, if I'm being made fun of for the way I talk, it has everything to do with the accent I apparently have, and not necessarily sounding too white or too proper.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting. I'm from Tennessee, and I mean the Valley, the Bible Belt. Like, I love whiskey and football, and I don't love Jesus, and I'm not conservative, but I'm from Tennessee. And people they're like, "You're from Tennessee? We thought you were from Connecticut, Delaware, you know, someplace like that."
You know, you don't sound like you're from Tennessee.
I don't.
You know, you don't.
I was specifically raised to not sound as if I was from Tennessee. But the ironic thing is, going back to Key's point, as you know, code switching, is I can code switch like the best of them. I can sound as country, as ratchet, as bougie as fuck. It just depends on who I'm interacting with, and it's a gift. I mean, Key's right. It's a gift.
It's good.
You should be able to fluctuate between different environments, and those who can't, they're at a disadvantage. Unless they in the Popeyes, drive through. But no, I want Popeyes. Is that ratchet? Yes, it is. I want some Popeyes.
I don't know. You keep talking about it. I kind of feel like I want some Popeyes now.
I will never forget that girl telling me that. She was like, when we got to the window, she was like, "Oh my God, I thought you were white." I'm like, but that's not the first time.
No, I've had an experience like that. Yeah.
Yes.
No, over the phone classically.
Over
same. Over the phone classically. Of course, I work from home, but most of my nursing career has been doing like telehealth type things. So before patients actually meet me physically, they always had heard me over the phone. And then all of a sudden I get this surprised look on their face. I'm like,
yes,
hi, I'm so-and-so.
Where's Gina? You're not Gina.
Yeah, I said Jenna for one. And
and I only say this because I know she had she was my friend through Discord that I met in my earlier stages of atheism. Where it was at a point where I was not showing my face because, it's so weird to be Black and not believe in Christ. Like, this is scary. I'm the only one, blah, 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 all that stuff. So it was about maybe my 5-6 months in joining this Discord and, meeting people, making friends, like-minded conversations, things like that. And she's Australian. And so I think I finally worked up the nerve at some point, several months within it, to actually show a picture of what I look like. And her genuine, I mean, obviously this is given a pass, but this would have pissed any other person off that didn't know her. But I give her a sweet pass because I considered her a friend. Still is. But when she finally saw a picture of me, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I thought you were white." Like, it was just like the most genuine aspiration of like discovery. And she's like, no, but I mean, I don't mean it in a way, but she tried to apologize and all that stuff. And it's good, fine and dandy. It was just funny, but it's not like that's been the most unique or unusual moment. And even from the opposite standpoint, as far as demonstrating your Blackness, I've gotten pushback against me because I have a preference of how I like to present myself. Obviously nowadays I'm wearing lavender hair, so fuck it. But
I love it, girl.
I love it too. It's nice.
It's
against
gorgeous.
the skin. Who can hate? No.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I've never, up until a certain age, like my mom put me like in braids and stuff, and I hated it. I hated always having braids. Or she would do this like gather all of your natural hair up and put it in a bun, like right at the freaking top of your forehead. And I hated that shit too. And, I went through a huge like identity kind of crisis, understanding me type thing. Like I wanted to change my name and all that good stuff at a very young age, not understanding who I was and why I didn't look like, Cindy with the blonde hair and blue eyes, because her hair was gorgeous, flowing in the wind, and mine wasn't. So you have issues. But it was more like once I grew up and started, getting into my own style, makeup, hair, and all that, I, like you, all into the weaves and the wigs and all that, still am, forever will be. I just prefer not to have my natural, and that's fine. Every woman is her own choice. I get jealous of certain women that have and wear and rock their natural hair. And I'm like, damn, natural hair. Yeah.
Like, how do you, in Atlanta, that is so common.
When you're confronted from another Black woman to criticize you for not being natural, especially if a Black man does it, it's like, well, you first kind of feel ashamed of yourself, but then you're like,
Kevin Samuel,
I saw you. Yep, fluff it.
Like, why don't you wear your real hair? I'm like, you gonna pay for me to go to the salon every week, Kevin?
And what's so sad, my sister is an unfortunate example of turning, meaning she, like me growing up, did weaves too. When she started dating her current husband, within the first 2-3 years, like he had comments about her wanting to wear her own hair. And suddenly one day she just stopped the weave, and obviously her hair was a bit more damaged because, you know, wearing it for a long time and you're not doing it right, obviously breakage, and that happens. You know, you pay for what you want. But she cut her hair and wore it short, so it's like a cute pixie. So she rocks it because of her frame and her face and everything. But it's like, why would you change what you were doing? You were just fine. And if you're comfortable here, that's cool too. But that he drove you to do that. And there was one point where she wanted to go blonde. I'm like, you would look hot. But her man said no. So she never did it.
I will admit,
like, really?
some sisters don't look good blonde. You just need to don't.
But I mean, if you want to be blonde.
But if you want to be blonde, purple, green, fuck it.
Seriously.
Why have someone push you to not be you?
Wait, and then you're really big on
it. She flipped it on me to ask me, well, what would you do if your man told you? I'm really like, well, he better just walk out that door, because I ain't changing for shit.
But wait a minute. Amani, you're really big on hair care, and like Amani actually went natural before, like maybe a year or two before it actually got really trendy. What are your thoughts on this?
I believe in taking care of yourself, and that applies to your hair. So I went natural and decided to go on the journey to learn how to take care of my natural hair, because that was something that I wanted to do, not any influence from anyone else. I did learn a lot, still learning a lot and going through that journey, and just how whitewashed it is. And like, I remember in the beginning stages, like I had Joey actually, a friend I had in the early stages when I was transitioning, was just like, why would you want to do that? And I was like, I want healthy hair. Like, my hair is not healthy. And she was just like, I could never do that, and like kind of chastising me about it.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to a few years later, she has dreads. So it really funny. But yeah, just kind of like the perspective on how hair was, and that was 2014. Like
styles, trends,
even 10 years ago, but it was still the mindset of a lot of Black people of like, that's not acceptable. I remember being at work when I worked at Oakcrest, and like I would rock an afro, and that's just how I was wearing my hair for a while. And then telling me the policy was, if your hair went past your shoulders, you had to put a hairnet on. So when they came to me and said, you need to wear a hairnet, of course, I'm like, why?
This shit's not past my shoulders.
Exactly. I don't ever recall getting a straight answer for it. But I remember talking to friends, and they were like, well, it's considered wild. And I was like, that's wild that my hair is considered wild. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Also being at that same job, wearing braids that went down in my butt, like the style, and being told that I needed to wear a hairnet, and having to explain to them that I don't think that's reasonable. This is a protective style. There is not anything that's coming out of my braids. It is to protect your hair, and it's to keep your hair in it.
Yes, exactly.
And them just saying like, oh, well, something could happen and hair could end up in the food and all of that. And me countering and being like, if one of my braids comes out, there are way more issues than the hair being in the food. Like that.
Right.
Susie's little blonde strands still managed to get in the soup.
Yeah.
And other things as well.
So there was a lot of explaining to people, because there wasn't for a long time an awareness of how to take care of our hair. Because even if you look at what was going on previously, we were told your hair needs to be straight. This is acceptable. This is professional.
That's how my mother,
so to speak. Yeah. And then it being ingrained into the Black community in that way, where long hair is considered beautiful. Like I saw a video the other day, and Mom, please don't do this, because I don't know if I could forgive you. But it was a woman. She was on TikTok, and she was talking. She had, I think her daughter was biracial. And she was like, she spent a lot of time growing her daughter's hair, like that meant a lot to her, and her hair was so beautiful and whatever. And I guess she had to go away to school or something like that, left her daughter with her mom, goes back a few months later, all the daughter's hair is cut off.
I saw that.
And I think not.
The teacher cut it though, right?
No, her mom. Well, no, there are stories out there where I've heard stories for students who have dreads and for whatever reason they don't perceive it being an acceptable hairstyle, and like cutting young boys' hair off. And there's a lot of
videos. I saw a news story about that where he had a kid had to cut his dreads off because
he was in a wrestling team.
I've seen another one where they wouldn't let him walk across the stage for his graduation unless he cut his dreads, and it was
my god,
it's just actually ridiculous. But even in bringing it back to the community and just being like, this is her mom. This is another Black woman basically stating, I don't know how to take care of this, so I'm just going to cut it off. And it's because of the significance our hair has to us, with being told that it's not pretty, it's not professional, it's not acceptable, especially once the natural, like on YouTube, when the natural hair care community was like really flourishing and like it started to become popular. I personally was watching a lot of videos where people were commenting on it, because the women that were rocking their natural hair that were going viral were all biracial women with type 3 hair, and Black women with type 4 hair, 4C in particular, were not being represented as much as these biracial women with this type 3 hair, specifically 3B, 3C. So then that leads into a bigger discussion of, well, you guys, like, where you'll get Black men that'll be like, oh, I love curls. Yeah, but you love a specific type. Exactly, you love a specific type of curl.
Well, that's really big.
That's not loving your curls.
But that's really a really big issue for Black women with type 4C hair. I've seen a lot of videos.
Can we break down the definition of the type? I'm sure most don't know what we're talking about. I know we know.
Nani, what's
type 4 hair has a tighter curl to it. So if I had my hair out, I could show you guys, but shrinkage is very common amongst type 4 hair, where like the coils will be very tight, but when you stretch it out, it goes, it's really
very long. And my hair is super long, but it's 4C, and once that water hits,
and then as you go up, so like from 4 to 1, the curl pattern gets looser. So 3C specifically is what you see a lot of biracial people with, where it's a looser curl. It's silkier usually.
Used in commercials a lot of media portrays that.
Yeah, when they try to say that a shampoo or a conditioner is for curly hair, they will specifically use a biracial woman.
But in their defense, they are very attractive. It's not their fault.
I'm curious.
I mean, the problem is, like, for us too, we've done this mindfuck on ourselves where I'm pretty sure all of us have type 4 hair.
I've done the mindfuck.
Why would we follow a type 3 streamer? That just ain't gonna be us.
And then there's it also.
But
that's dirty. Like when I was transitioning into like being completely natural, I was seeing a lot of videos of how to change your curl pattern. Like that was really popular. 2014 to 2016, and I can admit that I fell victim to looking at the videos, because it is that type. It's pretty, like the curls you see, it's pretty, and then it's also being promoted very heavily. So then you're getting this social media influence telling you that this is how you need to look, this is what your hair needs to look like, and all of that. And then in hindsight, I realized how, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it does kind of upset me that I had that type of mindset. And I wish I would have had someone to tell me to try to see the beauty in my own hair.
I know.
Because that's ultimately the journey that I was going towards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into colorism. We'll be here another 6 hours.
Colorism.
it is an extension of colorism where we want those loose white girl locks
Well,
because
they
that's
label
what's
it
seen as
specifically texturism, and there are a lot of people within the
Texturism.
Black community that speak out against that. That maybe a woman of darker skin complexion could be seen as prettier, quote unquote, because of featureism or texturism. If you've seen a dark skinned woman with like that 3C type hair, a lot of times she will be considered prettier because of her hair
right.
texture and the
Right.
fact that it's silkiness, and then all relating that back to being closer to whiteness.
You know what would be fun? I am actually looking for. So I have the next month I'm doing all Black streamers. I would love to have you guys on to talk about this like the last week. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Jenna, if you
Black
don't
woman
mind
hair?
coming back again. Well,
Girl, I'm
just
there.
like
I
being
got
a
a lot
Black,
to say.
really
I've gone through a lot of fucking transitions with my hair.
well, just being a Black, well, it would probably be more atheist related just because that's my that's who follows me in kind of my area. But that goes into it though, because there are so few African American women in this space. And for me personally, one of the conflicts that I had when transitioning to a dreadlock look was, as one of the few African American women in this space, and most of my followers and engagers being white men, would they have a problem with me moving from the long weave straight look to a more Afrocentric hairstyle? And it took me months to come to terms, years really, to come to terms with the fact that I would be more comfortable with dreads than the long weave look. And I was very concerned that based on the atheist community being predominantly white and male, that I could not move away from that long weave, you know, that long straight haired look. And it hasn't been an issue at all, but that was a concern of mine. It actually was.
Yeah, I actually won't wear.
Yeah.
Like I prefer to wear braids in the summer because humidity.
Oh yeah, that ventilation.
I won't do that if I'm looking for a job.
Like I said, I was gonna,
especially not.
That's what I was gonna touch on and then I want to ask Key, because I know Black boys, Black men, especially. I had a conversation with Mikey Famine about this because he has gorgeous long, Black hair. But
I love. Mikey
I know for
Famine.
me, I know from.
We should have him on too.
He's busy. He has a show with Neil right now.
He was
I know.
So I can grab him. But yes, you actually segued to what I was going to say, Maya, because obviously just in the last 3 weeks, I changed my hair to this lavender color. I've never done this light dramatic before. I've got nothing but compliments. My family don't know I've done this. Don't even show nobody. Don't show nobody in California what I've done. They would. Yeah. Anyway. So it's always been, the usual, just jet black or 1B color, wavy,
1B or one,
whatever, or one, right? Silky, whatever. It's always been really long, but obviously what should be my natural color. But since, I've got this job, yes, primarily my job functions as talking to patients by phone. They don't see me. But my training in the last few weeks has been, through Teams where, my trainer, manager, whatever can see me. I remember, Oz is a whole different breed. He's white, but he was like, he's I won't say fluent, but he's familiar. He is familiar.
Well, yeah, Oz is not gonna give you a hard time. Yeah.
So that's why my directness was like, to him was like, I'm really scared because I've never been employed where I've been this dramatic. And, obviously there's no real like solid legal law or rule to protect people, mostly us, about what you do with your hair. Obviously, Amani shared her experience. There are certain states that are trying to crop up that, but my, employers are mostly, with the exception of a few, are mostly white women. So it was just like my initial first day was that fear of, oh, maybe I should put on the other hair and not this one, or but no issues
or something.
Right. No issues, no comments about it. It's not even a problem. So yeah, it's kind of like that was I was just addressing what your concern was. Like, how am I going to pull this off being employed? That's a genuine fear. But, I know Black men, Black boys. I'm curious about you, Key. I don't know how you fashion yourself, your style. Shave it off, you wear it proud.
He actually
whatever.
has really
his
nice
wave
hair.
cap on.
He does. He has
wave
really
cap.
nice hair, and he just got it done. And I'm kind of surprised he's not showing it off.
I was gonna say.
He's trying to keep it down. It's late. About to go to bed.
I have to keep the drag on when I have like headphones on to protect it, because it does get frizzy after a while. But repeat the question again.
Oh, like for you, what's been your experience? Like people touching it? I know girls, ladies, I know we got stories about trying to outreach and touch your hair.
I would do that to my ex. I like to run my hand through his hair, but that's just
I just wanted to put a sign in it that's like, no.
Do not touch. Do not walk on the grass.
I'll say this now that you talk. Huh?
What?
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what's with people and touching like dreads or whatever, but like as soon as I got my dreads, people were like, "Can I touch?" I'm just like, "Why?" It's like, I just want to touch it. It's like, okay. But for the longest time, like why? Touch your own hair. Because you had the same hair at the time. But for the longest, I had the same hairstyle. I didn't really care for my hair. It was just a bush. And I would get like a high top fade. It's like a little top hat thing. I just like let that grow out as tall as it could be. One time I wanted to like test, because it was like a new year. I was like, let me get like braids or whatever. And I got them. They were okay. I didn't really like them that much. And the lady had burnt the edges of like my hair because it was extended.
Oh, no.
And I went to work. And the lady was like, she was like something, but just like disproving of like me having fake hair or something. And she's like, I think she has like a diarrhea. I was like, no. She just gave me like a disgusted look. I was like, what is wrong with that? And I was just wondering, like, why is it not socially acceptable for men to have fake hair?
Right. No, that is so valid. I'm so glad you had an experience like that. Unfortunate experience, albeit, but I've never really hear stories like that from men. So, wow, that is wow.
Yeah, that left a bad taste
normally,
in my mouth.
Well, especially in the Black community. I think dreads are relatively new as far as like on mainstream goes.
What made it mainstream is the football players.
But yeah,
that's
what do you call it? They probably, I mean, and it's like Nikki was saying, it's like, in the community, it's I think actors and sports
entertainers.
Yeah, entertainers. The Black community is most likely to mimic. So,
what's his name? Sense. Larry Fitzgerald. Long dreads. I think he played for the Cardinals. I think it's Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah. Yes, Larry Fitzgerald. And Cardi B's husband, Offset.
One of the three. Yeah.
I think Offset has dreads. Yeah, Offset has dreads. Future, I think, has dreads.
Yeah, Future has.
Yeah,
so his hair is kind of like this. He usually like does it like where it's back in a ponytail, but since he doesn't want to show off his $1 million
albeit
hairstyle.
I used to be one of those like when dreads started to kind of really come up in the last like decade or more, to be like, ugh, why are guys doing that? Like I used
oh my god, yeah, I was too.
Yeah,
but then even being a lesbian, Eric Killmonger in Black Panther, oh my god, that
when the styles, like nice styles like that started to kind of like come up, I'm like, okay, I can see that. Like,
but it's accentuated by masculinity. Like if a guy has like really long hair and he's feminine behavior, it's like, well, you associate his hair, well, you would align his hair with his feminine behavior. But like if he's masculine, it's like, well, I can look past the hair, you're still masculine. And that's Well, I'm
men
gay,
have
but it's
as much of a
attractive.
style and how they want to present themselves, hair, makeup, whatever, as women do. And
They do.
that's all power
Yeah.
to you. Hell, I used to be very heavy into following a lot of YouTube makeup people, and a good solid 2
Jesus,
or
take the
3.
wheel, take
Yeah.
it from my hands.
That looks
Because
nice.
I can't. Sorry, go ahead. I
There
cut
was
you
a
off.
good solid 2 or 3
showed a
that
picture
were
of Eric
men that
Killmonger.
were really fucking good at doing makeup. Because I'm really into makeup and hair, and I'm like, damn, you do it better than me. I gotta learn from
Go to Mac. You go to the Mac counter in Macy's, you find a man that can do your hair, your makeup.
I don't know. See, you two would get along really well. Monty, I last time, where did we go? Oh, so it's just like kind of, I don't know. Like I watched a video and they were talking about things that I didn't understand. Like, why do I need eyebrow, like, or is a primer or something for your eyeshadow? And I'm like, is that a thing? And she's like, oh yeah, it's right over here. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
Primer.
Sephora. I need to go to Sephora tomorrow. So
that was essentially me and my sister, like maybe over a month ago. Our place is Sephora. I don't really care too much for Ulta. I like Sephora. And I am not the person to stay in the mall for like 2 hours, or I'm really just a get in there, get
2 hours. What, you at the Apple store or some shit? What the
No, that's my mother. They like to window shop and then stay in the store for nothing.
Yeah,
I think everything I have on right now except my lipstick is MAC.
You take me to a Sephora, I'm in there for maybe 30 minutes at the minimum. That's the only kind of store I kind of stick myself in. But it's funny because you saying that reminded me of me and my sister going to Sephora over a month ago, and she was we're on this journey of finding new foundation, and because Morphe changed their foundation, I'm like, why y'all do that? Anyway, we're trying to find one. I'm like helping her color match and do this and do that. And I'm like, we're in here for over an hour. Okay, I guess it's time to go. But yeah, it's my little 2 cents.
Sorry, Manny, do you want to contribute to the makeup conversation? No, but what I was saying earlier was just like like things that we. No, you're fine. I mean, just like the things that I don't know, things that are put on the Black community. with people with type 4 hair wishing they had type 3. I'm like,
I'm guilty of that because
no. I mean, we all are. I mean, we all had to make a journey, and I don't know. We need to get to a point where we can be more cohesive and more uplifting and
Yes, there was, I know, back to what Amani was saying about her transitioning to learning more about how to take care of her natural hair. I wish, because ever since I can remember, my mom, for me and my sister, would do the press, do the perms and then press it out. So it would just be,
girl, that hot comb.
I was going to say, am I the only one who had the hot comb?
Saturday night.
Burning your edges. You got to hold your ear down.
You got to burn,
Yes. Yep. Burnt ears, all that burnt neck. Yeah, hate it.
No, okay, I was going to say, it's a comb on fire, like literally on fire.
That's true.
Like that's
I'll never forget that. And the perms, how the perms would burn your scalp and burn your edges, and just to have some damn straight hair.
Once I got to an age where I was making my own, like have my own job, make my own money, making my own decisions about what I want to do with me, I didn't know any skills to take care of my natural hair. And not anything against braids for anyone else, but for me, braids was like something that was like a trauma for me as a little kid because I just absolutely hated them. So I wasn't doing that. And then with protective styles too, especially if you're doing sew-in weaves, you braid it and stuff like that. So I basically, to keep it short, I was going through like a weird traumatic kind of discovery / deconstruction / life is fucking crazy right now moment. And I basically did Britney.
Did a big chop.
God.
Big chop.
I did Britney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad told me that it was $5,000 a year to get me, my sister, and my mom's hair done in the 90s. Because you were always in the salon, always had that hot comb in your hair. pulling on your hair, your tender scalp, just always. It was so painful, and it's the hell we go through just to get our hair done as Black
girls
women.
out here are known for spending the rent check on their hair.
Of course, and it's wild. Like, you're right. I didn't know how to take care of my hair when I got to college. I didn't know how to, and I still really don't. Like, I've always had weave, always had a wig, always had my cornrows, my hair cornrowed with a wig on. And also that also compounds with the fact that I was told you're not going to be accepted by white people. You're not going to get a job if your hair is not straight. Yeah. But not to say it's true. Maybe it's like confirmation bias because I've always had weave. But I can't remember the last time. This is the first time I've ever had like a blackish hairstyle. I've always had weave. But the reason I changed it was because of my sexuality, not because of the ease of care.
The identifier, I think you mentioned the identifier was you wearing the weaves and that you're more feminized.
And also, but that's, it's a good point because I run a lesbian meetup group here in Atlanta, and it's for lesbian singles, and all I had were studs and masculine women hitting on me. And I'm thinking, we can't have this. We cannot have this. These females need to know I don't date I don't date masculine women because I'm the one in the relationship who's masculine, and you're not about to come into my life and start telling me what to do. So like, well, that's another issue that my therapist will hear about tomorrow. But like, I had to change
I need to do a dating stream because holy shit.
But when I dated men, like being feminine and showing submissiveness and a demure like behavior, that's what they were attracted to. And when I had weave in my hair, like I have pictures, people are like, that's you? Yeah, like the weave, the makeup, it really does make a difference. It does.
Yeah.
Your hair is your crown and glory, as the Bible says. So yeah.
Showing up Jesus.
All right. I told Jenna, I was like, I got 5 questions and we should be able to get through this in an hour.
We got one.
We
did one. We did save the rest for future episodes.
All right. So we're gonna finish on. All right. What does progress for the Black community? What progress would you like to see in the Black
generational wealth?
Years?
Generational wealth and land ownership.
I don't think we're going to get generational wealth in the next 5 to 10 years.
I know, right?
But
so, you said what I'd like to see. You didn't see what was going to happen.
I did not. You got me there.
She's right.
Yeah.
I would more or less say the same and add to that, given, recent news, the brutality of it, at least that one a bit more realistic. If we were saying 5 to 10, maybe, just correcting.
They're going to do anything with the slave patrol.
Why did they name their group Scorpion? Why?
What is this?
The
what are y'all talking about?
I'm sorry. I don't know I don't want for this to be in a whole other 3-hour stream of mentioning this, but have you heard that news? What was it out of Tennessee about a Black man?
Are you talking about the Black kid they beat to death?
Well, he wasn't a kid. He was young, and he had a kid.
He was calling for his mommy.
Fair enough. You're right.
Oh, no,
Teray Nichols,
mother.
but he was beat by 5 Black cops, and their group was called Scorpion. It was like a
Memphis, right?
It's like an acronym for protection for the community, basically. It's disbanded.
I saw something about 5 Black cops, but I didn't know it was related to that.
It was not.
Well, no, same because I saw the 5 Black cops got fired, and that was a good week or so before the video came out.
Oh my goodness!
Walked into
you're right. He was 20.
In a show channel in time, and it does news. And I didn't know that night was the night we were going to show a young man being beaten to death.
I need to see it. Oh, I don't need to see it.
I don't
know what y'all are talking about.
That's what I'm saying. I was like,
no, I mean, towards the end, it was all I could do to listen to it. It was, and as a mother of a child who's around that age, I mean, just like looking at what they're doing to him and hearing him call mom, like he's like 80 feet from his house.
All
Didn't
from
George
a
Floyd do the
traffic
same
stop.
thing? George Floyd did the same thing, right? Calling for his mother.
I think what was that other kid? That one kid did, the one that they, I can't remember his name, but he was the one who used to like play the flute for like,
yes,
people.
Do you
was it
guys
kids in
find
the
it
hospital or was it? It was, yeah, and
Don't
then
find
they
it was interesting that they're calling for their moms instead of their dads.
because maybe the moms.
Okay, we're talking about the Black community, and so for
That's true, but I would have been calling.
But
yeah,
for
right.
is it Tyree or I don't know how you pronounce his name? Yeah, his parents actually were together, but we're talking about the Black community and dads.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Very
Sorry,
toxic masculinity in the Black community, and I love my dad.
Is that an actual thing though? Because on one hand,
masculinity.
Because on one hand, going back to what we said like a couple hours ago about men being leaders, on one hand, women are like, I want you to be the head of my home. I want you to protect me. I want you to give me the things that I need as a woman. But then say toxic masculinity. I do. If I was with a man, I would want him to be a fucking man because I will be the man if you ain't the man. And that's what happened with my ex.
What's your definition of a man?
Well, no, I mean, that's what Black women do. But I think,
well, yeah, that.
And again, in the Black community, we're highly,
but we're talking about
Christian white. But like in the Black community, we are highly religious, and we've like been fed that myth of like, you know, men are hard and they don't cry, and you know they
need to cry.
You know, there are gender roles, and men do these things and women do these things, and
but there are though.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that that's what his family was like. I'm just saying I'm not surprised given the dynamics within the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not okay. So we have this conversation. My book club, we do this Marriage for White People.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are still animals. There are sexually dimorphic predispositions associated with what we determine to be gender roles. I know that in our society today, especially with us in Western communities being so comfortable, we're not out hunting anymore. We're not moving around nomadically anymore. So the traditional gender roles that translate the dimorphic benefits of having a bigger, stronger male to fight off a saber tooth. The dimorphic benefits of having a smaller, more mobile female to yank up in the, the instance of an invasion from another tribe. Those aren't really valued today because, well, we got ADT, we got Ring doorbells. You know, you can see when a threat is coming. You know, you don't have to have a man to protect you like that. But the dimorphic differences between males and females are still obvious. For example, are differences in height, are the men having wider shoulders, being taller, stronger jaws. You know, those are because of sexual selection. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, yeah, today, you know, maybe we don't need him to go do a bunch of stuff, but we still prefer those things because that's what our great grandmothers selected for. And that's what our biological dimorphism demonstrates. And I feel like there's one girl in our group, she's like, I don't like the fact that you say that men are taller than women because that's what we selected. That's what we selected. There's
it's evolutionary, 100%.
But from an evolutionary standpoint, yes, that's valid.
I mean, when you're talking about,
I think that's what people like. Women don't want to like.
Yes and no. It's also dude. It depends on who you're talking to. Liberal women don't mind as much as conservative women.
Should ass lie. That is a bullshit. It is because these women out here claim to be, and not that you can't be a feminist, blah blah blah. But trust me, these women. Listen, when the problem is that the men who come around saying, "Oh, I'm a feminist too," and I like, they don't get it. They don't. When I say it, I mean the pussy. They don't get the pussy. When asshole man comes around,
that is not true.
Not true.
Okay.
Nikki,
I mean, again, if you're around a bunch of conservative women, then I do agree with that. But with liberal women, there's more relationships tend to be more egalitarian, and
egalitarian isn't the goal. but dimorphic traits are still selected for. You may want egalitarian, like the method in which you rule your house doesn't necessarily translate to the dimorphic traits you prefer. You can still prefer a taller, more masculine presenting male, but also desire an egalitarian government style in your home. Females still prefer, generally speaking.
Well, no, it's social. It really is social preferences.
But it's dimorphically limited, though.
I mean, I'm not saying a lot of. I say all the time you can't choose what you're interested in, but conservative cultures do a real head job on both men and women about what is preferred. I mean, have you not noticed that they're all like they all dye their hair blonde at a certain age? But
those are not necessarily sexually dimorphic traits.
Traits are seen as not as desirable. And I mean,
but those are social. I'm talking more like about things you can't control, like breasts and penises and height and shoulder width, not necessarily color.
No, I understand that how we are, like our body frames now, like, yeah, we evolved through selective pressures. Sexual selection. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
there's that. And there's also, God, I was just reading something the other day where it was talking about when you look at animals where there's more, it's talking about us being more promiscuous and not being like just one. And so when you see like a lot of
pair bonding versus pair bonding,
you'll see like the men will be, you'll see like the men will be significantly bigger than the women. So that they can like fight off the other men.
It's the same. So tournament species versus pair bonding species, for example, lions, Homo sapiens traditionally are tournament species, being that the men compete in tournaments to attract female attention. Therefore, they represent more dimorphic traits such as a darker, larger mane, big, huge antlers. In our cases, stronger jaws, big, strong shoulders. And females are smaller in stature, smaller waist, bigger hips, bigger breasts. In species that are more pair bonding, like penguins and voles, you'll see it's not so easy to differentiate between the sexes based on physical traits.
Exactly.
So you're right. Yeah. That's basically
true. Like peacocks.
So
there you go. That's the ideal example, actually. Yeah, you're right.
But when we're talking about humans, selection looks like in general, like other non-humans.
You're right. Yeah.
Liberal women tend to want somebody that they can relate to emotionally, and they're more willing. I'm not saying they only do this. I'm not saying like, oh, they don't care about physical things at all, but liberal women are more likely to find men that have like more of the emotional support, and they're willing to make more trade-offs with physique. Like I'll take a I don't know, like in my head, I'm thinking of a David Pacman. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with him here.
Little dude.
Yeah. And they'll take him over your, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some
and then add a dash
player.
of your preferences and things like that.
Right.
But you still want him to put you through the wall, though. Like you can still be little and like maybe physically, but I'm sorry.
Get that little man in the gym. He'll be all right.
No, he can, but it's not necessarily. I'm sorry. When I say put you through so my friend, we have this running joke for like 15 years. When I say put you through the wall, I mean consensually put you through the wall.
Well, yeah,
not like
right.
Like you still want that back broke. You want that back broke. Like you can still be a little smaller, but break my back. What are we talking about? Like you.
If you're an enthusiastic yes man.
Come on now. Put me through the wall.
Nikki is special, y'all. No, you fine.
I am special. But like when I was with my ex, and I tell people this, and I'm gonna say it. It's the Jack. I don't care. I told this man when we were together, because I was raised traditionally. This might go to like Maya's point actually, and I'll actually admit that even though I am more left leaning regarding social issues. I do like money, so I count my taxes to be lower. So. But like regarding things that actually do matter, like I am left leaning, and not that taxes don't matter. But I told my that's an anomaly though. That's an anomaly.
Was your dad?
Yeah. How and why do we ask that? Okay. Why do we ask that question?
I'm playing.
But it's
I'm sure he had a big dick.
And why do we say that though? Because what is it? If you're short, you're not representing the dimorphic traits that have translated into reproductive success. Reproductive success belongs to the males predominantly with the deeper voices, the height. So, but my ex, right? When I was with him, God bless him, and I've told this story on other podcasts too. In the bedroom, which is where it actually counts, because you can be Kevin Hart size, but lay it down and put her through the wall, and she'll be like, I can deal with that. And that's probably what homegirl daddy mommy had going. But I asked my ex-boyfriend,
what is he, like 5'4" or I had no idea he was as short as he is.
So I'm a big Stallone. I love Stallone. Like, he is the one man in the whole entire planet I would go straight. Yes, he's Rambo.
I know, Maya.
Don't stop asking me that question.
Sure.
You know why he's hot. He's Rambo. He has a knife.
He was Rambo in the 70s, honey.
He's Rambo now. He was Rambo 3 years ago. 4 years ago. He's 70.
Oh, Rambo.
Is he still
He Tulsa, right.
Yes,
he's fine as hell. Yes. He's fine as Stallone is, listen. He fine.
All right. Amani.
He's hot.
The topic is
ask your man to smack you in the face. If he says no, move on.
No, don't listen to her.
In the bedroom, not just generally.
You know what?
Everyone wants to be smacked
Nobody
in the
wants
face
to
in the
answer
bedroom.
my question. I'm talking to Amani. Amani,
yourself.
Look like. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to introduce you to my friends.
Hi.
But this is us.
In the bedroom. Some people like to be smacked. It's okay if you like that.
It is okay.
Here, we're progressive.
It is okay.
I hope some mandingo motherfucker bends you over backwards soon. But today, at this moment, we are talking about allyship because it's a Black.
Oh sure,
History Month.
Don't give your woman what she just. Make love to her tenderly.
Fucking damn it.
Anywho,
thanks for inviting me. I appreciate the I thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
All right, Monty. The topic we're just gonna talk about it. What would you like to see from the other community? It's about white allies, but I mean, it's not just. We need allies from every community. Like, we all need to stick together. Like, what would you like to see from other people that either you are seeing, you want more of, or you don't see it all, and you feel like it's desperately needed for the movement?
I guess just overall more understanding from other communities in regards to our experience and understanding that it is unique. I think we see a lot from a lot of different white people, the refusal to understand, and we do see there are a lot of white people that are able to understand, but I think that it needs to spread into other cultures as well, because I think way too often even people that you would think would ally with us, Africans, for example. Just an example, you can expand this to Hispanics, Asians, whoever. But because I see it a lot from Africans in particular, people of Caribbean descent will tell other people, I do not identify as Black. And their skin is darker than mine. And that's just really baffling to me, because white people don't care.
Separate themselves from us, because they don't want to be seen. Oh, the Americans, y'all fucked up your Black people.
The American,
we're not from
American
here.
Shame.
Yeah, like don't.
But then
don't
you get
put
here
me
and you're
with
fighting
them.
the same fight, and that's what's baffling to me, is that
they're trying not to fight.
You think there's a difference, but to everyone else,
no difference.
Just
another Black man.
Black,
because,
Black.
Bigots think that there is something tied to the Black skin that makes Black people more aggressive, more prone to, whether it's violence or being poor or what the fuck ever. Like Africans are never going to understand that because they haven't had to live in the struggle. They think that they can just be like, oh no, like I'm out. I'm not playing this game. And we can get a lot further. Yeah.
That's interesting. Because when I was on Jimmy's show, there was a guy that called in named Emmanuel. He's actually called in on every show I've been in. It's been interesting. And he's from Africa and actually thinks slavery. According to Jimmy, maybe. But I think it was a joke. But it's very interesting because he's Ethiopian and thinks slavery is okay. And we've had this conversation a few different times.
Didn't Matt hang up on him?
Oh, Matt has hung up on Emmanuel a lot of times.
Yeah.
So has Jimmy. And I was on Truth Wanted, and I don't think Daniel hung up on him, but I think we may have cut the convo short. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The very first question that Emmanuel asked me was, would you consider me African American? And he said he was not American, not like he wasn't American. But I would say, even if you're not considered like necessarily African American, you're still Black. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe that's what he asked. But even if I'm African, would you still consider me Black? And I would say yes, because in America, Black pretty much
anybody from African descent. Yeah.
If you have a certain, well, it's not just even the skin color, but certain Afrocentric features. And white people will see you as Black, and you're going to have to deal with the same potential social disadvantages that African Americans have, even if
I know an Indian guy, and they can get pretty dark when they get closer to the, was it the Atlantic? Is that the Indian Ocean, or what's over there?
The equator.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they get closer to the water. They get pretty dark.
I've been confused about being American.
And I've heard them say a lot of times, you're either white or you're Black. You know, we think we're Asian, Hispanic, like no, you're either white or not white, is what he was saying. So yeah, that's
unfortunately, and this actually, you make a good point, Maya. In India, and I mean Eastern Indian culture, even in African culture, and even Latino culture, lighter skinned celebrities get preferential treatment.
Yeah, they get a pass.
They do get a pass, and they get more gigs. They get treated differently. And when you see Latina actors represented or actresses represented, it's like Sofia Vergara, Jennifer Lopez, Mario Lopez, Ricky, like the lighter ones. I don't know where Mario Lopez, where is he? But like they're the ones. I mean, Jennifer Lopez just, I think, did a movie with Channing Tatum, but they're the ones that get the attention. It's not really the darker skinned even versions of their culture.
We see colorism in every country that was colonized.
Absolutely. Every single one. And it's unfortunate, but it goes back to what Dr. Claude Anderson was talking to regarding meritorious manumission, and that you want to identify as much as possible with the master and put down as many of your people as possible in order to gain preferential treatment from your oppressor, because you don't see it possible to gain that type of status with people that look like you. So you want to move as far away from that as possible. And it's not just us, unfortunately. It does translate to Indian culture, Latino culture, and even Asian culture as well. Asians, such as maybe the Vietnamese or the Filipino, who have more dark skin features, aren't seen as socially valuable as Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, who might be lighter skinned. It's really unfortunate, and it's sad.
I'm sorry, Imani, did we cut you off, or did you want to add anything?
I mean, a little bit, but it's okay.
Sorry.
It's a tough subject.
It's actually not as bad as I've seen it. Like there's some streams where we really have to fight to get a word in.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. Please finish.
It was pretty much just that. I would like to see across the board just more understanding for people in their communities, and not a lot of the dismissive attitudes that we've seen towards the Black experience specifically, but the understanding that we are continuing this fight because our country is refusing to resolve the issue, to acknowledge the issue, and to move forward in a positive direction. Instead, things keep trying to Well, things keep trying to get swept under the rug, and people keep trying to act like it didn't happen. But there's very clear evidence that it has happened. So we're just going to continue to be in a state where there's just constant tension until things get addressed and handled accordingly.
No, they were actively inciting race tensions.
Yes.
It'll stop once our leaders stop dividing us for money.
I think that the left, generally speaking, the Democratic Party, even though their social views they align with what would be most beneficial for the Black community, I do think that they exploit Black issues to try to gain votes and to gain power. It's a double-edged sword.
So Key.
Hello.
He's like, I'm still here.
Is there anything that you would like to see non-Black people do for the Black community?
Well, since I don't really know what's going on in the Black community for the most part, I don't really have much of an input.
Fair. He's not very news savvy.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, if it's not around me, I don't really pay attention to it.
I get it. I used to follow politics to the T, but up until like the last 3-4 years, I just got butt tired.
Well, in his defense, he was working to get himself from school, so I wasn't very political.
I'm with you, dude. The last time I cared about what happened politically was when Russia took over Ukraine damn near a year ago. And I watched the news for like 48 hours and then realized nothing was changing over here, so stopped. So, yeah.
I don't really like looking at the news anyway because they just milk shit just because they can. This one NFL player that had that, what's it called, that heart attack or something on the field for like a week straight. They're probably still doing it.
Oh, they are.
I went to get my hair done. I don't know. I haven't checked, but like there was this day I was at work. They were playing that the entire day. It made sense there because it's a sporting bar, so it makes sense for them to talk about like DeMar Hamilton, like what's he's experiencing, like if he's alive or not, because people care if they're watching that. But like I would go get my hair done, get a haircut. They're playing that for the entire 4 hours and getting that shit done, and just like go to a different topic. And I understand, like, if people want to, like, watch the news and, like, oh, I wonder what happened to DeMar, like, they want to Google. If they cared enough, they can just Google it. But if you're just going to milk, like, this poor man's, like, nearly dying on the field for money, then I'm not going to watch it. I'm not really interested in that.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Jena, did you answer the question?
Did I? Oh, I don't think I did. I had my answer. And I forgot about it. I want to say two kind of things, and I'll keep it brief. One, I do recognize there are some, I won't say absolute, because every kind of movement, fight has their own uniqueness, has, things that specifically concern them, like trans rights, gay rights overall, BLM, all that stuff. So I see the intersectionalities. I like how Amani in the beginning, 27 years ago, said that instead of recognizing herself as like an activist, it's more like being an advocate. And, I say that for myself in my professional career as a nurse. Like, I'm a nurse advocate. I advocate for the health of my patients and health education, things like that. So I think changing my language more to suit what I realistically do, because as an activist, I'm not out on the streets. Cynthia did the damn thing. She do. That's an activist right there. I'm more advocating.
Cynthia will be on the channel later this month. So
yeah.
Love her.
But more to the point, I think having the advocates behind, recognizing. I think someone mentioned the uniqueness of what struggles are, what we still overcome, things like that. not so much striving to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I don't like that idea anymore, to be honest. It's more like you have a viewpoint of respectively having empathy at the very least. Empathy for what someone else is experiencing, even though you will never in your life mirror or experience the same kind of thing. And even if it's maybe borderline kind of recognizable to you of a certain situation that you had or somebody else had, and they're not of, Black skin color, that's not the same thing. There are mental gymnastics, things that we constantly think about if we go to a certain area or walk into a certain store or have to be concerned about somebody reaching out just because they want to touch your hair or say an inappropriate comment because they think you look exotic or they think you look really mean because you're big and whatever. Things like that. But at the very minimalist level, if you don't have like a platform or things like that, being an advocate to being empathetic, hearing what we have to say about certain situations, regurgitate that to your spaces. Don't play on what you think it is, but play on what you learned from us. Because I hear that and actively do that all the time with my trans friends, my LGBT other friends, and anyone I'm not associated with. In a sense, I can appropriately say I can ally or I do ally for them. And on the other fold, because I fell victim to this, is finding allyships within, because there are a lot of, and a prime example would be my mother is very, even though this is the most simplistic, that doesn't, for the most part, not pertain to like law things, but at the most simplistic level, Black women against Black women, there's like a breakdown of allyship there. It's always a competitive competition. I experienced that myself from other Black coworker and my previous employee that would, not be friendly to me because she saw me as a threat. When I'm like, we can work together. You don't have to see me. Even though it wasn't outwardly spoken that way, you feel that, and certain comments, things like that. But, and also like indicating, your perspective of what you think a person should look like, because you're a Black woman, you see a Black woman wearing her natural hair and an afro or not wearing makeup or whatever the case may be. My mom is classically one of those type of people that says that often. And so that's why I never learned, realistically how to take care of my hair, things like that. So not only just allyship outside of us, but, being kinder and finding allyship within too.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think the competitive nature of Black people in white spaces is due to, as I said previously, meritorious manumission, and
can be all of us. Yeah,
exactly. The white, there's only that. What y'all have been in the workspace, Black people together. They're like, yeah, they got to meet that quota. That's why we're here. Like, it's a
to get
joke,
together and talk our shop. Yeah.
We do, and it's like, well, we made the cut, and I hate to admit that we kind of did in a lot of cases. And there's a limited room at the top. And I think earlier we mentioned Key and Peele. There's a Key and Peele skit where one of them is already in the Black, like the white space. They have the white friends, and then the other comes in and they're like competing with each other. And that actually happens. And I think that's what, I think Maya mentioned Uncle Ruckus earlier. When he wrote that song, Don't Trust Them New Niggas Over There, he wasn't saying don't trust this nigga over here. He was saying don't trust them new niggas over there. And that's because he wanted to have that approval from whites. And I think we know that when we become too numerous, white people begin to feel threatened, and they know they have the economical power to kind of curb our numbers in high-ranking spaces like politics and economics, and they take advantage of that. It's tough. It's tough, but we are unfortunately reflective of that, and I dealt with the same. So, Jenna, I completely understand.
All right. Well, I think Amani is going to fall asleep on us if we go too much longer.
No, we've been at it, and my man got a stream too, so I guess I got.
Oh yeah,
oh, yeah.
Look, yeah. I was surprised to see Ox awake, Oz awake at 8:00.
Oh,
Like,
8 o'clock.
Yeah, because that's like him waking up essentially.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm sorry, Amani. Do you have anything coming up? Do you want people to know anything about you or anything you're doing?
I'm boring.
You are not boring, girl.
I like boring. I'm with you.
You're not boring at all.
Aren't you leaving us? Like, you're going to like a what? Europe? I forgot what it is.
That's not till September.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still happening.
Well, but nobody here. It's not like she's going to be streaming it, so I get it. No, I know you have to go to bed, so if you wanted to hop out, I appreciate you for coming, and I really appreciate you.
Nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you, Amani.
Thank you for having me.
Nice.
Keep talking, girl. Let him hear you. Let him hear you. You. I'm serious. We need. Keep talking.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. She's like, I ain't coming back.
You got anything you want to show?
Crazy.
Maya, you raised some badass children. Well done. Like, wow, killing. Well done. I hope I can be that good of a mother to my kids one day.
You will. I'm sure you are. I mean, yeah, you're amazing. Jena, show.
Not much. You can find me on Twitter at Jena_BFA. It stands for Black Female Atheist. Mostly, I run that channel I was talking about, Tangang Atheist Network Group. I am, I've been for months talking about bringing my #NotLadylike show back, and I still haven't done that.
What?
Just trying to.
You had a really busy end of year, so I'm expecting that this year, though.
I know. I've been trying to do that. It's my solo live stream show that I do on Tang. I've been trying to do that for the last 2 weeks, but I've just been too tired or still transitioning, still moving in, still like, mental, emotional.
It's been the holidays.
Family. It's been a lot, but I'm gonna get there. But other than that, that's it. That's all. Thank you for having me.
All right, Key, you want to show anything out?
I don't really care for promoting anything. I'm just doing this for fun, just for me. But I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a fun experience.
I'm sorry we had to walk you through, the menstrual cycle and periods and ovulation and your mom having an IUD and how to shove it up in there and all that stuff. Like, I don't know what my mom got. I know. I'm sorry.
He is interested in what do you call it? Morality. And I'm like, oh my God, do I have you?
We would love to have some more people. Well, I would love to have some more people of color in the debate space. There goes your boy, Looney Tunes, trying to sneak behind. We need more Black people in the debate space to discuss these issues. So if you ever feel,
I definitely have a lot to say, because my morality is definitely going to align with a lot of people.
You would be an excellent representative. If you want to, that would be dope. You want a platform? I'm sure Oz and Jena have a great platform. I'm growing. I can get you in connection with the Jimmy Snows, the Matt Dillahunties, the people who can give you a voice. If you want to, let me know. We need more people in our community who are having these conversations.
We're just talking about streamers with like hundreds of thousands of followers. So
people have been in the games. I mean,
these ladies are very well connected.
Dillahunty is the god of debating on the atheist side. I'm very, to use the term, I will say I'm very blessed to be able to chat with Matt, and Matt's great, and he's very willing to help. I'm not close with, I like Aaron Ra a lot, and I would love to be close to him. He like Dillahunty kind of make me like, oh God, it's them. But unique connections, we got you. Jimmy, just let us know. We're here to support.
If you're into debates, I think you say you were. I know me and Oz's channel.
This family loves arguing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
it's our mother. Well, me and mothers. Money not so much.
Let's get you a good start so I've been on the Crucible 3 times. Their debate channel. Oz and Jenna just launched their debate channel. Modern Day Debates. I'm going to reach out to their moderator soon. I can't do debates now, but in May I'll be moving back into it. But there are a lot of platforms, and as a Black person you know what debates look like: white men.
Yeah.
So I actually was telling Matt and Jimmy, I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. But then I had a debate a week ago that didn't go well. And it made me want to do it because I was thinking, I'm going to win. There's no one in this space like me. I'm going to win. So, but it does take work. Don't think you can just walk into a debate. And I was kind of spoiled the first two because the first debate opponent I had, he just dropped out middle of the debate and said, I'm done. I can't. The second one was a little more, and he's a great dude. He's, I don't know what happened with him, but Reformed Christian was my second debate opponent. He's a little more socially awkward, but follow him if you can. He's a good dude on Twitter. But my most recent debate opponent was seasoned. And it wasn't that his points made sense or that he actually demonstrated his case. He just discussed the topic with more rhetorically appropriate and rhetorically attractive language.
He knew how to draw the audience.
He knew how to draw the audience. It wasn't that he demonstrated. That is all it is. And my good friend, another person who has really helped me immensely, Damien at Hope Marie. I've been on his show several times. He is very intelligent. He told me, he was like, Nikki, rhetoric. It's not about truth. It's rhetoric and debate. He's right to say that.
That's why I'm not a debater. I never touch that shit. Sorry.
No,
I can talk. I can rant.
I just inadvertently did an abortion debate with Fundy the other day, and the streamer.
Yeah, I want to see that.
James Apperson's channel. It's actually on like my. If you go to my page under my appearances, this is the first video. He let me download it, so I'm gonna like pare it down because it's a 3-hour stream, and I jumped in the middle of it, and then the conversation. That conversation
you just
was
dived into it.
So I'm like, okay, we don't need all 3 hours. It's one where I'm talking, and so I'm going to list that. So I actually have content, but he was actually a good faith actor, and I really appreciated that. When you go into streams, debates, sorry. The biggest issue I've seen, like, if I don't believe somebody's an honest actor, I back out. But like, you know what? You're right. Apples are blue. I give. Bye.
Knowledge and abstracts exist, so your God is real, sure. But unfortunately, in a debate, you can't back out. You have to stay in the arena. You have to fight. You have to, and that's why I didn't.
Well, no, and that's what I'm saying. I just won't get into it, but you have to know like what the tricks are. It helps so much if you know what game they're running. You know, if you're up with Darth Dawkins or Jill or Praise I Am, it's a different conversation.
It's and it's not an honest one because it's not about honesty. Every one of us knows that simply because abstracts exist doesn't mean the God of the Bible exists. But this motherfucker wants to say, well, because my logical argument is valid in structure, that means my God exists. That's bullshit. Because you want to say your God talks to you, came back from the dead, and did a bunch of shit in the physical realm that isn't justified by simply or merely a philosophical argument. But because he knows the words, knows the tone, knows how to be condescending, knows how to, to say the right things, people think he won. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I tweeted that. I was like, you know what? I learned something tonight. Debate is not about truth. It is not about truth at all.
There you go. Now you know.
It's not about truth.
It's about
confidence. Now I know.
Yeah.
I like to play games. And I nothing makes me want to go back more than that experience. I thought going into that night, it was actually why I didn't do the research. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this or not. After that night, I want to do it more than ever.
You're right, Purple.
I want more than ever. Debates are won by the ones. Exactly. It has more charisma. And because of my lack of confidence, it was my third debate. And, but I'm coming. I just want Chase. I'm coming for you. I want you to know we are going to have a rematch. And when we talk again, it's going to be completely different, because I took advantage of the fact that my first two opponents weren't challenging. And I thought I didn't have to do that research, and I didn't necessarily respect your experience. But I want you, he's not going to watch this, but Chase, I just want you to know. I not threat.
I'm coming for your ass.
I am. I don't.
Is just.
I have
blocked.
no. Chase.
Threats,
No, but all due respect,
Chase
is a good dude. And Chase is. When it comes to debates, there needs to be some cordiality. It really does. And Chase doesn't necessarily bring a lot of empathy. What ultimate do you use to ground intelligibility? I don't even know necessarily how to interpret that question.
It's not a question. It's just something silly.
I told him to it was probably from Chase, something Chase said, but I will respect my opponent.
No, it's Oz being silly.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Chase being silly, because he was. But I want to respect my opponent next time, and I will. I'll put that work in. But no, Key, back to you. If you want to debate, you know how you
need to get into a debate space. Like, we need to get him in.
But you gotta prepare. It's not something you walk into. I thought it was. No. I was like, oh, I can just, it's a conveation about, obviously.
Like, I know everything about what
actually exists. And I've had these conversations my whole life. What?
Yeah.
You have to prepare like you do for basketball games, football games. You got to put on whatever you listened to before. You have to prepare with vigorous prepare. You have to prepare with rigor, because it is a literal battle. It is a fight, and you have to kill. There is no other mentality except you have to want to taste your opponent's blood in a debate. You do. You do. This is not a joke. And I learned that last week. There is blood that needs to be spilled.
Where's this debate? Like, I need to see it.
It's
not always that bad. We could find.
No, it is.
We're willing to have an actual conversation.
Because they will come for blood. No, they're going to come for blood. And that's what he kept saying. This is a debate. This is a debate. You're right. It is. He's coming for your blood. It's the person who spills the most. So make sure you spill his blood more, and you will win. And that's what matters. Winning. That is all that fucking matters. If you ain't first, you're last. Okay? If you ain't first, you're last.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
no, you shouldn't, because they won't.
Listen to her.
They're not. No, they're not. Okay, watch the debate with Chase. Just watch it.
No, I want to see that. Where is this? Where is this?
The Crucible. It was a lesson. It's not that I didn't know the argument.
Yeah, I mean,
remind myself, it's a lesson in what matters.
You know that in life, you're gonna come up against a fucker or two.
Yeah, you gotta kill, because they come up for your blood.
They're not all like that.
I know that, but Chase was. And Chase is indicative of the people that I am to encounter. And being a Black woman, because I want to win and I want to establish my. And that's it. That's just what I told Dillahunty. I said, I didn't know if I wanted to do this, but after this past week, I want to do it because there's no other people who look like me doing it. I'm not going to back down because shit got hard. And debate is hard. It's very fucking hard. And the problem is and Jimmy makes a good point. Jimmy Snow, he says, debate's not like what it used to be after COVID. People are doing it online a lot. He's right. Mm-hmm. I want to debate in person. I want to debate with people staring at me. No access to the internet. People mention a name. It's...
She's hungry. Nikki's hungry. Any hoot.
Okay. Yeah. This is like 4 hours. I spent one.
Yeah.
But it's not just 4 hours. It's 4 hours of this, and then people after
4 hours of this.
Call you. Yeah, but who's doing that though?
I will in a few minutes. Okay, I gotta go.
Exactly. You have to declare war. It is a declaration of war, and that's why I want to stay in this space. Okay. Watch Dillahunty's
Learning the art of debate is really good for you. It'll help you out a lot in life.
Watch Dillahunty. If you want to be good, watch Dillahunty. Dillahunty is great, but take it from me. Watching Dillahunty for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours doesn't prepare you. Matt gives you a false sense of confidence. He does. I love Matt. Oh, I love Matt. I love Matt so much.
I mean,
Like Matt
he
Dillahunty.
just struts around and it's like, and they just go right down.
They do.
It's
Matt's
insane.
bad, and that's
I don't think you understand
that's bad as hell. I love Matt.
Yeah, he is, but like Matt has a lot of experience. He makes it.
Nick Shooter, you know Nick Shooter.
I don't know
Nick Shooter, Nicholas Shooter.
Shooter. In time?
Shooter. Yeah.
In time? What about him? Did they
he's
do a debate?
Kills.
Okay. In debate?
I watched Dillahunty and Raw.
Okay.
Those are the two atheists. I mean, I'll watch the old, Hitchens, Dawkins, Harris, but I
don't like Aaron's debate style.
Aaron is cold. There has to be like a really interesting compilation of Dillahunty and Raw, with of course some Hitchens mentioned there. But I would say if you really want to debate, you want to be bad as hell.
Badass.
Hitchens is badass.
Cool. Like, I mean, he'll just.
But he's not alive for
like
consultation.
you'll say something, and he'll like. He's got a million ways to make you feel stupid.
He's a rhetorical genius. Hitchens is a rhetorical genius. Hitchens embodied the traits of rhetoric that we need to. But if you want to be good,
Christopher Hitchens is a great example. Yes.
Dillahunty. Watch Dillahunty's debates. Watch Dillahunty's debate reviews. Watch Dillahunty's videos on debate arguments that Christians make and how to dismantle them. But you have to practice that.
Okay. I really gotta go because I gotta get up early anyway.
We're gonna go. We're all gonna go.
We're all gonna go.
First or last. First or last. Shake him. I knew we were friends for a reason. All right, you guys. Beat the cult.
Credit to Oz because he said it first. I just happened to overhear and I said it.
Shake and bake, baby.
Shake
Beat the cult Twitter. Beat the cult YouTube. Thank you, Maya.